Praise the Run podcast. Screen recording now. We're doing it. Oh, I forgot to change the channel. There we go, there we go, there we go, there we go. And then we do the syncy thing. Fuck. Oh, that's fine. Patrick! Welcome to Praise the Run podcast, Patrick.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm here.
You're here. It's been, I think, 3 weeks since the last podcast. And I did like the community note on our channel and everything because you got in your little fender bender. And then I did the Xbox show on the channel. So I tried to fill in a little bit of the gap.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. It's fine.
Yeah.
It sucked, but it was no big deal. I mean, my car's fine now. I got it back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exciting. I mean, it was like 3 weeks without it, though, so that's still pretty rough.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, I only work 10 minutes from my job. Or I only live 10 minutes from my job, and then comedy-wise, I mean, you know, if I have a show, typically it's on the weekend, and Kenya's off then, so...
Right, you guys can go together.
Yeah, we made it work. I mean, I wasn't able to do a lot of mics and other specific things, but overall it wasn't bad. I mean, you know.
Yeah. So, have you played anything?
I mean, yeah, I guess really that's probably the best part of it was getting to play. I mean, I mostly just played Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
I played a lot of that. I'm still on the first chapter. I've just been, you know, micromanaging. It's one of those games where I can just, like, put hours into just customizing, like, you know, making sure they have the right weapons and builds and stuff, and rearranging chests, and, oh, I gotta sell this now and go back to the store, and, like, a lot of stuff that probably isn't even necessary, but, like, to me, it's always about, like, maxing out my money and stuff. So I'm constantly like, oh, I can pick up this whole room of useless stuff and make like 300 coin.
Right. That's what I do in The Witcher,
you know,
and stuff like
so there's a lot of that. A lot of pins on the map. Like, hey, this is a room full of shit I didn't have enough strength to carry. Yeah. You know, I only grabbed the valuables. There's still a whole body, a whole room of bodies I haven't looted or whatever. Right. Just all sorts of stuff like that. But on top of just continuously stumbling upon all of these little missions and branches of, you know, your paths or whatever as you progress, you're constantly encountering, oh, well, this decision's now caused this. And you're like, oh, I'm still only on the first chapter. So much is dominoed. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And besides that, I've just been playing a little bit of Marvel Rivals.
How's that been going?
It's not terrible. I don't play it enough to like memorize all of the characters like I'd like to, but
yeah,
unless you're like, I guess, in that community or whatever, it's harder because like every character has their own set of moves, which is fine. That's not the hard part. The hard part is, like, they're not all set to the same buttons.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, some games, like, everyone will have unique sets, but at least all their buttons will be, like, all their light moves are L1, and all their heavy moves are R1, and then it's more about timing and stuff. But this is, like, completely different, where, like, one person could have 3 moves, and it's on, you know, 2 of the triggers or something, and then someone could have 2 moves and be on 2 completely different buttons, and I don't understand like how it's being chosen necessarily.
And then teammates can like have dynamic.
Right, yeah. So then if there's a certain person in your party, you can have an additional move, but like you don't necessarily have to remember that. But if you're not paying it, you kind of have to pay attention to it. But then if they switch and you get used to it, and then it disappears, you're like, oh well, now I can't do this anymore. You know, there's a lot of which. That's less likely to happen once you get like teammates that you communicate with. But
for sure.
As long as
If
you're
just playing with randoms.
just randoms all the time, which is another thing. I don't play enough to really get into that part of it. I feel like maybe once I commit to a couple regulars, it's just they're all really fun to play, so it's hard to like pick like what do I really want to just stick with.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they're all fighting for your time kind of thing.
Yeah, because there's so many different ways.
Market.
Yeah, there's so many different ways you can play it, and so many different options. And then they're going to introduce. They have so many heroes they already promised to introduce.
Yeah,
and it's like, how am I even supposed to commit? And then you pull out the full Fantastic Four. It's like, you want me to just ignore that? Like
right.
I don't know, and it's kind of frustrating. It's like a very steep uphill battle.
They're adding Doom soon too, right?
Yeah, there's so many. They're gonna start doing X-Men characters soon, I think.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, other than obviously they have like Wolverine already, but
yeah, but it was like I did see that a lot of leaks that are coming out might be fake.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably the case. That would make sense.
Apparently, Marvel Rivals, the developers, who's the developer of it? I don't know who develops. Is it NetEase? It might be NetEase, but they're putting in like fake characters to catch leakers.
Well, that's good. That's good. I mean, it makes it interesting too, because then it's like, oh, well, now we really don't know.
Right. But
what's what.
Professor X was one I heard, and like a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, I think that one was like the most trolly one I heard, because people were like, oh, was he gonna do, sit in his wheelchair? And I'm like, I mean, he wasn't always in a wheelchair.
Yeah, right.
But
this is the Praise the Run podcast. I'm Ben. This is Patrick. I was trying to get the ball rolling with more of a cold open. Usually we have a conversation going, but it's been a couple weeks, so I didn't know what to talk about right away.
Yeah, we jumped right into it.
There is a lot to possibly talk about. We didn't get to talk about Switch 2.
Yeah. We briefly talked about it.
Did we? Maybe we did.
Yeah, because we saw the trailer.
Oh, we did.
Or maybe it was like.
Shit.
Maybe we saw a fake trailer.
Damn.
But it was very similar to the real one. I feel like we did.
You're right. Switch 2. New Switch 2. No, those were all leaks.
We talked about the leaks, but like the leaks were very similar to the.
Right. And we can play the trailer.
It was almost identical to the actual trailer. I mean, I don't have any anything to say about it. It's just like. I mean, to me, the Switch 2 is no different than like PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4, or PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Like, if you're already in that, if you're already a part of it, it's probably exciting.
Right.
It's an updated system. It has newer features or whatever.
It's a lot bigger.
But I didn't have the first one.
Yeah.
I've never owned a portable gaming system, so.
No.
So, like, to me, other than, like, my phone or, a laptop.
Yeah.
I've just never been anywhere where I'm portable and not doing something else, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue. I've never been anywhere where I'm portable and gaming was the overall thing I could be doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, traveling and stuff like that.
Yeah, I do a lot of traveling, but like, I mean, usually I read a book or I'm writing.
The appeal is that it is a portable, but it's not just, it is a home console.
No, absolutely. I'm not dissing it. I think it's great. I just don't personally have any sort of attachments. None of this means anything to me. Right. The trailer itself, it looks like that could be a mouse, which has already been discussed, and that's cool, I guess, but also you could connect a mouse to anything already if you wanted to, I think. So
right.
It's not.
Yeah, Nintendo.
It seems like they found a couple extra ways to make it different.
Right.
Other than making it bigger.
Yeah, improving it.
Yeah.
They got rid of the gloss on it. It's all like that rigid material, which is nice. The kickstand is reinforced.
That's cool, yeah.
It goes a lot lower too. We'll see how actually reinforce it is, but it being like an inch bigger is pretty nice.
Yeah, but I mean, we're reaching like it's almost a tablet at this point with
Oh yeah,
handhelds.
it was already a tablet, and
Yeah.
like the Steam Decks and stuff are still like still an inch or two bigger than this.
Oh, are they really? See, I've
Yeah.
never even seen one of those in real life, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah, those things are chunky and they're a
Yeah.
lot fatter.
Oh wow.
But
That
this,
makes sense because they're like supposed to be, computers basically.
right. Spec wise, this is going to be about a PS4 on the low end. Not on the higher end, it's probably going to be like a PS4 Pro.
Yeah.
But the magnetic Joy-Cons are really nice. We'll see how flexible they actually are and
That's a cool touch. I feel like that is they have more ideas for that
right
in the future. Like, how like they used to do all the attachments.
Right.
Like they're going to try to bring that back with magnets.
Yeah, this is probably the biggest thing we could focus on for a second is that this is a new Mario Kart right here. Mario Kart 9 is shown off for a second. In the first Switch reveal, like when they announced the original one, they showed Mario Odyssey for a quick second. Everybody was like, "What was that?"
I would have never caught that. I had no idea.
Yeah, so this is confirmed to be a Mario Kart 9, or I don't
That's
know
cool.
if Nintendo straight confirmed it, but it's people in the know have confirmed.
I guess
it.
you'd have to know because that looks like a regular everyday Mario Kart to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what they're showing right there is 24 online players, all on the same track together. The big speculation is this a, did it show the whole map? Is this a more open Mario Kart of like a Forza Horizon-esque Mario Kart?
Maybe. I mean, they have to go some new direction. They
Right.
can't just give us more maps and
Right.
the car. What else can they do to the car? They've made it fly. They've made it go underwater. They've made it transform.
Right. And the last Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the one that is current that everybody is
The
playing,
Infinity one, yeah.
is a Wii U game. The
Right.
game is like almost 14 years old or
Yeah.
something like that. It's super old at this point. And then they did the huge DLC boost, so it has like 80 tracks in total. Like it's like the Mario Kart Ultimate.
Yeah.
So yeah, really, what else could they do? You're right. But backwards compatibility as well is confirmed. So even though you haven't gotten into the Switch, jump in now and you still have a backlog of everything that you've never played, and then if it's following, the PlayStation and the Xbox and how they do backwards compatibility, it would, boost all of those games. So something like a Pokemon being like hampered down by the Switch with its low frame rates and stuff, theoretically that could run better on a Switch too.
Nice.
Same thing with Breath of the Wild and stuff. I would see you playing more of that. I could try to get you into Pokemon. That would be great. But,
Yeah.
or Final Fantasy, all the original
right.
Final Fantasies and Dragon Quests and all of those. Like, I think Nintendo has a big enough back catalog that's not just Mario.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure they have plenty of games that I'd play. It's just another one I'd have to get. Which Kenya has a Switch, so I'm sure she'll want to eventually get the 2 and
right. Yeah, there's
whatnot.
the big thing now is like, what is the price of it?
Yeah.
People are saying $350 at the low end. I cannot see that is what the OLED is priced at right now.
Yeah.
I could not see them matching the OLED price.
No.
I could see them selling the OLED in perpetuity with the Switch 2 for a little bit, at least for the first year, and then probably $400 for the Switch 2.
Yeah.
That's not a hot take. I've heard that price a lot, but
I feel like it'll have to be a little pricier if it's going to be PS4, specs and stuff.
Yeah, and it being much bigger, I would imagine, like, just they're not selling these consoles at a loss, and none of these manufacturers have in a long time. But I would imagine to help with costs, like it's not going to be extremely expensive.
Right.
Nintendo's also been the kings of like cheap consoles, like
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's supposed they still want it to be like family
right.
friendly.
They want you to own multiple, like you. The Switch home console might be your thing, but maybe you do get Super in a portable, but you want to leave that one at home. So
Right.
buy the Switch Lite because that's $100. That goes on sale for like $150 all the time.
Yeah.
It's like super cheap.
And then all the attachments are gonna make for the thing.
Right. Yeah.
I already see that happening.
I don't know what peripheral third party support. The backwards compatibility for the new console only goes so far. The one thing is it does have an asterisk to it. It's like the Joy-Con focused games. So I'd imagine like either those will get reported to retrofit these to fit these new console or straight up sequels. But Labo is one of those things, the cardboard thing that they did.
Right.
All of those, because those all fit the Joy-Con as well.
Yeah.
And then Ring Fit Adventure. And Ring Fit Adventure is one of the best-selling games on Switch. Like, it's in the top 10, I'm pretty sure. I would imagine that they would just make a new ring for it.
Right. Yeah, I think so. But I think things like that, like, they're going to make... I think they're going to make more things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if Labo will ever come back. So, if you haven't bought Labo...
yeah.
I don't know how much those sets of just straight up cardboard are going for, but, like, if you haven't bought Labo, this might be the time to buy Labo before it's gone.
Yeah.
But... I could see them. Ring Fit Adventures like 18 million units sold or something. It's a lot, dude. And that game's like $80. It's not because it comes with the ring.
Right, true.
So it's like it's a more expensive game than even Breath of the Wild being 70. Launch titles, I guess we could speculate on a little bit. We know Metroid Prime 4 is coming. I could see that being a cross-gen situation.
Yeah.
They usually did that with a Zelda game, like Breath of the Wild and Twilight Princess was the one for the GameCube Wii. Yeah, they usually have like a game that straddles both, and it's like, oh, it runs on both, but it definitely runs better on this one.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if Metroid Prime 4 is... I mean, it could be as big as a Zelda, but I could not see... Breath of the Wild is like, again, 18 million units for Ring Fit. I'm pretty sure Breath of the Wild is above that at like 20-something million units.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And no Metroid Prime is sold over like 4. But if you have a Mario Kart 9...
Right.
Or anywhere close to launch, let alone launch day, I feel like Mario Kart 9 is one of the best-selling games ever.
Yeah. 8.
Yeah, Mario Kart 8. Yeah, my bad. Mario Kart Infinity. Yeah. It's at like 68 million units now.
Jeez, wow.
Yeah. And there's like fairly few games that peak that high. I mean, GTA 5 is an anomaly because I think that's at like 200 million units now.
Yeah.
But like, it's not a far gap in between numbers of like GTA 5, maybe Tetris.
But like GTA 5, that's across 3 different consoles and 15 years or whatever. But Nintendo that racing game is only Nintendo game,
Right, and this is just so Mario Kart 8 and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I think they count as separate units.
Oh, wow.
So that's the Wii U numbers are even less than that. Like,
Yeah.
I think the Mario Kart Wii U numbers were still pretty good for the Wii U, but it was like 6 million units.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, wow.
But the Wii U only sold 14 million units in its lifetime, versus the Switch is now the best-selling console of all time.
Mm-hmm.
It's now outpassed the PS2 at 154 million units sold. So I think it being not too different is a big, it might not be as exciting.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are like, oh, we want quirky Nintendo. I'm like, you guys didn't want quirky Nintendo when it was the Wii U.
Right.
The Wii was an anomaly, but if they have something, they've always kind of like reiterated on it.
Yeah.
Like the NES to the SNES, the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance,
Yeah.
the DS, the 3DS.
For sure.
Yeah, this is, and
It's always just been like an upgrade.
right. The Wii and the Wii U, like the Wii U was such a big flop, but like that was to, it had the same capabilities as the Wii.
Yeah.
And then try doing a little bit more. But even the Switch is an iteration of the Wii U.
Yeah, I mean, technically, yeah. You just got 2 joysticks now.
Yeah, and in retrospect, like people hated the Wii U gamepad now or back then, but now people love that thing. And I don't know if it's
the
like
balance thing.
no, the gamepad controller.
Oh,
thing
I never had one of those. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've seen one. They're funky looking.
Yeah, they look like a Tiger Electronics thing.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
But people, they fit really nice in your hand, and I think people have gotten used to that form factor now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, for that, it was like a second screen experience, but the whole draw was like, if somebody wanted to watch TV and you still wanted to be on the couch, you could just flip it on. And
right.
then you couldn't go super far away with it, but the dream was there, right? I think the mouse capability stuff is the weird part of Nintendo.
Yeah.
But people have talked about some really cool ideas with that.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll make a bunch of funky, crazy things.
Yeah. Well, Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah,
Playing
that's
that
true.
with a mouse
right.
on your Switch.
I mean,
like, you could whip it out on your
it'd be
table
like,
and then...
Yeah. For sure.
And then...
That wouldn't be bad.
Right, and then Mario Paint was people were talking about that hasn't been around forever.
That'd be a cool comeback.
Yeah, Mario Maker because people play that game with a stylus usually.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, it definitely opens up a lot more capabilities.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, people play like Civ on it a lot too. Like,
oh right,
it's one of the best consoles for Civ apparently. And Civ 7 is launching on Switch 1, like the original Switch. So,
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, right. That comes out soon, man. It's like in less than a month now.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
We're about to hit the game season. Really, I mean, like February is Monster Hunter. Civ. It was Assassin's Creed. They just moved that to March, I'm pretty sure. Avowed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about to get stacked. Lonely Mountain Downhill just came out too, or their snow one.
Yeah, I saw that on the thing.
I do want to play that, but it's only on Xbox. And I'm like, I have a PS5 now. Put it on the PS5. I'll talk about what I've been playing on the PS5 real quick, because it's not really much, but I started playing, I started looking through the retro catalog of stuff like that. I started buying a whole bunch of, like, the little PS1 classics they've came out with, and they started getting weird with some shit. Disney, when Game Pass came out as well, and when Xbox started doing the backwards compatibility, it was like, they just started throwing all of these random games up there. It's not a lot of the games that I have nostalgia for. Like, the ones that I have nostalgia for are, like, Pirates of the Caribbean and the Haunted Mansion and stuff. But they've thrown out, like, a lot of the Disney Pixar stuff on there.
Oh, okay.
Bug's Life isn't on there, unfortunately. I know that's one of your childhood games.
Yeah, I love that one.
But I started playing Buzz Lightyear of Star Command.
Oh, nice.
And
wow.
Dude, these PS1 games are so mean to children.
Really?
Yeah, like, every time I go to, like, these retro, like, licensed games and stuff like that, it's like, I know the development cycles on these games were, like, 6 or 7 months.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know if they would, if since the developers were in hell, they want to put children through hell.
Yeah.
But every time I play one of these games, it's like, it's just so mean. Everything is, like, timed. Everything's trying to kill you.
There's so many time trials.
Yeah.
That was a huge thing.
And it's like, I'm at home.
Every game had a time trial.
Yeah. I'm at home. I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
Like, why you try to put a minute 30 seconds on the timer?
Why are you rushing me? Yeah. I mean, I guess that, in a way, that's kind of what inspired speedrunning, but...
Yeah.
But still, no, absolutely. There's
like,
so many, like...
Everything's a Tony Hawk level.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, dude. But the way that Buzz Lightyear Star Command is, it has, like, 4 or 5 separate categories of each level.
Okay.
So, like, you have, like, your main mission, which is follow a boss through the level until you get to the boss fight, and then you fight the boss, and then that's that. There's, like, a time trial, run through it as fast as you can. And then there's, like, not a hide and seek, but, like, they throw, like, random parts of this robot all over the map, and then you gotta go run through the level and find it real quick.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I say map, it's like basically a path. It's just a straight road with, like, a whole bunch of obstacles, and then each level is, like, different scenery around your road.
Interesting.
You know? Because it's a PS1 game, so they can't, like, make super elaborate maps. So
yeah.
It's like, we're gonna give you this straightaway street, and then we're gonna put, like, a whole bunch of robots shooting at you and stuff like that. It's a very weird game, but it was one of those things where, like, Demon Souls was, like, just destroying me.
Yeah.
And the consumables in that game, like, you don't have Estus flasks, like the original, or, like, Dark Souls and stuff. You just have grass. And grass is just like Bloodborne, where you can run out of grass. And
oh, okay.
Grass is a lot less plentiful than in Bloodborne, where, like, in Bloodborne, when you get your blood vials, you're getting them all the time, and, like...
Oh, yeah.
Enemies aren't as chunky as well in Bloodborne. Like, you're meant to be super aggressive. Demon Souls is not that game. You want to be slow and plodding a lot of the time. It wants you to just, like, have your shield up and stuff. And that's not how I play.
Right.
So I'm just burning through grass all the time. So it's like, I'll get through halfway through an episode of recording, and I'll be like, I gotta stop and, like, grind for grass, and then start back up again.
Oh, wow.
And continue the episode, because I'll just be so low. But I'm playing Demon Souls still. It's fun. I wish I had more to update with. I just haven't progressed much further than, like, the beginning of each world. There's, like, 5 worlds and 5 levels to each world. So I've gotten, like, I think I've done the first level of each world now.
Word.
Yeah. The Buzz Lightyear thing was just such a whim. A lot of those games are cheap, though. They're like $5.
I haven't even... I'll have to look into that when I get back home.
Yeah,
look at the catalog, because I haven't... Oh, is that on there?
Yeah, Twisted Metal 1, 2, 3 Black.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love Twisted Metal.
Yeah. Yeah,
That'd
a lot
be great.
of them are up there, man. I don't The only one that isn't on there, the junior one, is it called Twisted Metal Junior or Twisted Metal Toys or something? You're all like RC cars.
Oh, no, I don't think I
instead.
played that one, but that sounds cool, yeah.
Yeah, that one's not on there, and then maybe it's not the original Twisted Metal. Maybe it's Head On, which is the PSP version. It's either one of those aren't on there. But Twisted Metal 2, 3, and Black are for sure on there, and I'm
Nice.
thought one of the versions of the first one are on there.
Heck yeah, I might buy a couple of those then.
Yeah, Sly Cooper's on there.
Oh, yeah, I love Sly Cooper.
Yeah, I think those are all $10. A lot of them are $5. Some of them are $10. I don't know what the delineation of like what's what of
Right.
like why they're, and a lot of them go on sale all the time too. So even if it is $10, it's probably on sale for like $6 or so.
Yeah.
They just added the Indiana Jones game from the PS2. I forgot, it's like Staff of Kings or something like that. A lot of the Star Wars games from the PS1, PS2 era are on there. But Sly, Jack and Daxter, I think the majority of Ratchet and Clanks are on there.
Nice.
I don't know if all of them are on there because there's a bunch. What else? Siren is on there, which is one of the more obscure horror series.
I think I played that one, yeah.
I think Resident Evil 1 is on there, director's cut.
Nice.
There's quite a bit of stuff, and it's all pretty cheap. I'm glad that I would hate for that to be all locked behind the subscription. I'm glad they allow you to buy it separately. There was an instance not too long ago where like Capcom was like, you can't buy Dino Crisis and Resident Evil separately, but I think they've switched that since then. I think that was like a bug or something. But Dino Crisis is on there too, which I've been meaning to play because that's one of the ones that I've never even actually touched that series.
Oh, really? I think I might have played a little.
Yeah, it's like Resident Evil with dinosaurs.
Right.
So, like, yeah. That sounds so cool. Speaking of games that sound cool, we can talk about the Xbox thing.
Yeah.
That's a big thing that happened last week. The Xbox Developer Direct. Bop, bop, bop. I don't know. They announced some cool things here. You checked out most of the trailers, right?
I checked out some of them. I didn't get a chance to watch everything.
No. Well, we'll start out. We'll just go through as they go through. We'll start out with Ninja Gaiden 4.
Yeah, this one you sent me.
Yeah.
This one looked really cool.
It looks so cool, dude.
Yeah.
This is the first Ninja Gaiden, I think, in 8 years is what they said. Ninja Gaiden 3 came out on the Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a Wii U, like, exclusive for a bit, and then they did, like, a sequel version or something like that. That's what they do to these games. There's, like, Ninja Gaiden Black, and Ninja Gaiden Sigma, and they're all 3 separate versions of the same game.
Same, yeah.
With slight variations. The Sigma series, I know people don't like as much as the Black series, so we'll get to that in a minute. But Ninja Gaiden 4 is a big deal. There's a lot of stuff to pick apart here. This is a game not only by Team Ninja, Platinum is joining in on the fun. Platinum Games is in a weird spot right now.
Yeah.
Kamiya left, 2 years ago. And since Kamiya leaving, a lot of their studio heads have left. And when Kamiya left, he was like, there was like a lot of animosity to what the studio had become, which made it seem like the studio was in a really hairy situation of like getting sucked into like live service stuff and everything like that.
Yeah.
And they did a live service game called Babylon's Fall. I think I have it on my wall over there. It's a dead game now. It reviewed very poorly, but Kamiya stuck it out to also finish Bayonetta 3 and stuff like that. Kamiya is the guy at the Game Awards that they showed off for Okami.
Yeah.
He had been with Platinum since the beginning. He was part of Capcom for a long time, and then they split off to make Platinum games. And right after the... I think Beautiful Joe might be Capcom. Maybe that was after they had left by that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, since then, Kamiya has left Platinum after, Nier and all of those successes and stuff, Bayonetta. Platinum seemed like they were like losing people left and right, and people just didn't know what Platinum was anymore.
Right.
I still feel like we don't know. They do have a lot more to prove now that everybody's left. So joining up with a studio, I guess like Team Ninja is probably for the best.
Yeah, they probably needed the additional help, it sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah, and guidance, like, I don't know, when you put... Platinum's been very hit or miss. Like I said, like with Babylon's Fall being a giant flop.
Yeah.
And then they do something like Nier Automata or Bayonetta 3. Bayonetta 3, I know it didn't sell well. It reviewed okay. Like, fans of the series were, like, kind of mixed on it. But even before then, they'll do, like, a really cool big action game and then do, like, a really shitty license game somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
They did, like, a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game that was really bad. They did a Avatar: The Last Airbender game. But they also did, like, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance and stuff like that, which is, like, a crazy cool action game. And, like, they're a very peculiar studio.
Yeah. I mean, this looks pretty cool so far.
Yeah, dude, this looks amazing. And I also, it looks like a lot of Platinum's imprint is on here, from Nier and stuff, but I do wonder how much is Platinum and how much is Team Ninja.
Yeah.
Team Ninja is still very capable of making these kinds of games.
Mm-hmm.
Wolong, Neo, Rise of the Ronin, like...
Right.
Even we'll see after this, Ninja Gaiden 2 Black is a remake of Ninja Gaiden 2, and it is fucking crazy good.
Yeah.
They still definitely got it in the bag of, like, being able to make these. You are playing a new character, so that is one thing. Ryu Hayabusa is there, but Yakumo is the name of the new character. I think he's also the main character of that 2D one that we saw not too long ago. So that's another thing is, like, when they announced the developer direct, there was a lot of speculation on what the secret game was going to be.
Right.
But it was... I don't know if it was officially announced that the Japanese studio was going to be... or that it was going to be a Japanese studio, but that was what everybody was running with, that Xbox is working with a Japanese studio.
Right.
This one is published by Xbox.
Mm.
This isn't straight up, like, a third-party game. This is, like, Xbox is putting a lot of money into this on top of this. And they do have precedent, I guess, to do that. They did publish Ninja Gaiden Black on the original Xbox, and then they also published 2, but they didn't publish 3. 3 was a Wii U exclusive, like I said. So it just... that it's cool to see them do that, I guess.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
A lot of Souls influence in this. Ninja Gaiden's always kind of had these like one-on-one bosses, but you know, I like it. I like it. I like what we're seeing.
Yeah, it looks really nice. I like that's very fast.
Yeah, but if you don't feel like waiting till fall, like I said, they did also announce after this Ninja Gaiden 2 Black right after it got shadow dropped. This is a remake of 2. They remade 2 with Sigma. And people didn't like that version at all.
No.
So they've done another remake of 2 called Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. There's a confusing lineage with the Black series. There's Ninja Gaiden for the original Xbox, and then on the original Xbox, they remade Ninja Gaiden and updated it and stuff, and then called it Ninja Gaiden Black.
Okay.
And then, I don't know how recent, it was pretty recent, like within the last, like, several years, on modern hardware, the Ninja Gaiden Sigma came out, the Sigma collection, and that was Ninja Gaiden Sigma and Ninja Gaiden 2 Sigma. And that was, I think, 2017, around there.
Yeah.
But the Sigma variants, I think Sigma 1 people like, but Sigma 2, something was botched with it.
I mean, not to interrupt, this game looks cooler than 4.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is, they're both really cool.
Maybe it's just because the trailer, just because they didn't show as much in the 4 trailer, they just kind of kept showing the same, like, 3 things.
There's a lot more going on in 2.
But there's, I've already seen, like, way more cooler things.
Yeah, the 2 set pieces, dude, are so cool.
Yeah.
I watched Kyle Bossman play a lot of games, so I was watching him play through 2, and it was like, you fight on top of the Statue of Liberty in this game,
that's
like
sick.
A giant aircraft carrier that's exploding.
Right.
You know, like there's some crazy cool set pieces, and you're right. A lot of the 4 stuff that they show is like this apocalyptic Neo Tokyo.
Right. It's like I'm in Cyberpunk the whole time.
Right.
It also like kind of looked. This kind of looks like it a little bit, but it looks kind of like arena style. Like you fight 10 people and then you can move on to the next thing.
Yeah, there is a lot of that.
Like you're locked into a zone until you defeat 15 enemies and then you move on, which isn't a bad thing. It just can get kind of annoying when you don't want to do that. But if that's this kind of game, that's just what you signed up for, I guess.
Yeah, Ninja Gaiden does have a lot of that. The big thing with Ninja Gaiden that they like to focus on is like when you get surrounded by enemies like that, a lot of the time that you would play an action game, you have like one enemy coming at you one at a time kind of thing.
Right.
Ninja Gaiden is not that kind of game. You will get swarmed and they're all going to attack you at once, and it's very unforgiving.
Yeah.
There is a lot of arenas though. And for some reason, I don't know why, but Ninja Gaiden, it doesn't bother me as much. Maybe because I was expecting it.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about the Compulsion game as well, where, like, for some reason, a lot of the combat in arenas there bothers me. Maybe because that game is more focused on movement and stuff like that. So I want it to be, like, the combat to be also very movement oriented and stuff.
Right.
But like, I mean, Ninja Gaiden, you do have a lot of jump mechanics and stuff, but like, a lot of the Ninja Gaiden combat is like straight up like button inputs, and like, you can get like fighting game inputs if you want to through it, and like get ridiculous combos and stuff.
Right.
But you're right. I think Ninja Gaiden 2 is so far looks like a better game.
It looks sick though.
And you can play Ninja Gaiden 2 Black now.
That's cool.
I think the big difference with the 2 is like enemy placement and the amount of enemies.
Yeah.
And then enemy health as well. Like, I think Sigma, there's less enemies and more health. With the black versions, there's more enemies with less health. And they kind of balance out more. With Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, though, there is a normal difficulty.
Yeah.
So you can play it on a normal difficulty instead of it being like ridiculously hard.
Yeah.
It's still gonna be challenging no matter what, but Ninja Gaiden 2 and Ninja Gaiden Black are like, I've never gotten past like the first boss.
Wow.
But I was a child back then, so
That's
who
true.
knows?
Yeah.
I could probably be a lot better now. But yeah, next they show Compulsion.
Oh yeah.
It's South of Midnight.
We finally get the
big deep dive.
We finally get a trailer on this.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
understand what the game actually is, other than a talking fish and a.
right. Some skeleton playing guitar.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's a third person action adventure game.
Right.
We kind of figured that as much. They show a lot here of like the movement and stuff like that, and like how it incorporates to the overall world and stuff. They give you the story of like you get in this awkward fight
There's
with
a
your
big
mom.
flood.
Yeah.
And now all the things are coming alive, and you have to.
Yeah, well, first your mom dies. So you get in this fight with your mom, and then you walk outside, and then your house gets swept away in the flood.
Right. Yeah, now you have to go. Well, your mom. You don't know if your mom. That they say you're going to find her or whatever.
Right. That's right. Like, nah, dude, your mom is gone.
Right. Yeah. No way.
No way.
If anything, she probably died.
Yeah, there's no boat. Oh yeah, that's a good theory of like if
this is
she's
just
dead
all
this whole time.
like on her way to the afterlife or something. But
Right.
I do like they incorporate a lot of like American folk stories and stuff, and
yeah, it's very Southern Gothic. This is a very homey feeling game.
it kind of reminds me of like that Alice in Wonderland's game.
Oh, American McGee. The Alice Madness Returns.
Yeah,
Alice.
yeah.
Yeah, they're just called Alice and then Alice
Madness
Returns or whatever. But yeah, I agree. Like,
It has
Americana
that kind of
Gothic.
like, yeah, that kind of like dark, everything's kind of chiseled,
Yeah.
sharp edges type sort of style, like almost claymation but not.
Yeah. I guess Alice in Wonderland's European. They're all British. But yes, 100%. Or like Interview with a Vampire, kind of like.
Yeah.
Yeah, very Alice in Wonderland like.
Mm-hmm. These trailers are a little sketchy, but I think that's actually supposed to be the style.
Right. Yeah. So every one of the characters are in stop motion, while the rest of the world is in a fully.
Right. Yeah.
60 frames or whatever. I think the characters move at like 12 frames a second or something like that. Maybe it's 24, but it being directly in front of another 60 frames a second, I think it looks okay.
I don't think it looked bad, but
they said you can turn it off. But I feel like it defeats some of the purpose, I guess. Like, some of these things look like toys.
Right, it's supposed to look, it's stylized. It's supposed to kind of be that kind of Coraline-esque.
Yeah, that's a good pull. Coraline is a good measure. But yeah, a lot of this combat and stuff, you're fighting groups of enemies in a combat arena. Kind of like that Kanetsugami game where, like, they're all, like, invading, like, this circle around you and you gotta, like...
Right, it looks like you, like, almost like... Yeah, like Pokemon or Final Fantasy style, like you encounter the enemy and then you get...
locked in an area.
Like some sort of screen or something, and now you're in this...
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that.
especially when they give you all of this like movement ability and stuff.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
like,
you get all these cool, like, you can do the whole swinging. Like, I want to swing from a tree and swing back
Right.
into the. And it kind of just takes me out of it too, because it's like you're gonna have to have some sort of cutscene to enter this zone,
right.
and then you defeat it. Are you gonna have like a victory screen afterwards? Am I gonna get like a stat counter? Like, what's gonna happen? I don't know.
Yeah. Or you walk into an area and all of this bramble shit, like, it just grows right
Just
in front of you.
springs up. Probably that might be maybe to make it a little more continuous. Maybe something like that'll happen. But
yeah. But then how often does that happen?
right, that means the enemies are very specifically placed.
Yeah.
And it's mostly like a story game with battling in it, which is fine again. But
Yeah, I mean, I want them specifically placed. I would just, I'd rather be specifically placed throughout the map. But,
right.
Like, make more sense.
Mm.
Because it also feels like these enemies don't make a lot of sense. I don't know, maybe that's just me. They're like just root monster things.
A lot of them are
like,
just plant. Yeah, some
Yeah.
sort of.
there's,
Like, are they all some sort of urban legend or something, or did we just create a bunch of character like?
Right, just fodder enemies. We just needed something to in
Right.
between the bosses, because the bosses look real cool.
A lot of the bosses look super sick. Yeah.
And those look like straight up Souls bosses.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not the only. I know everything's a Souls boss now, but a lot of people have made that comparison of like you have dodge rolls and you have like these giant one-on-one encounters with like multiple stages and stuff.
Right.
This is Compulsion's third game.
Mm.
Contrast reviewed okay. We Happy Few was, it was fine, but it wasn't what everybody wanted. People wanted more of a game like this for We Happy Few, and it ended up being some weird survival MMO type thing.
Right.
Or not MMO, but it definitely had like online multiplayer survival shit. I wonder if they can pull this off. Maybe this team is the team that needed like a platinum to step in.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah, like some of these enemies look good, and like that kind of stuff that looks cool.
Yeah.
I don't mind the enemy. I don't mind the bosses being in like an arena style thing.
Right. Well, I mean, like especially for these massive giant ones.
Right.
The type, some of the way these bosses look, they kind of look like just like every other type of video, like the woman boss like hanging
That's
down.
coming out of the ceiling. Yeah.
This looks like a PS2 boss right there, like a giant robot PS2 boss that you gotta fight with the hand slapping down. Like I fought one of those in the Buzz Lightyear game I was just playing, and the SpongeBob games that I played. Like
it just looks cooler.
Yeah. I think even Wolfenstein has a boss like that too.
Right.
But,
well, it takes a lot now to think of a new creative boss. Especially with Dark Souls, they've taken it to such great lengths.
I'm talking about the design of like something coming out of the ground, and then you have like just like this little square, and they slap their hands.
Yeah. I mean,
that
overall,
was the boss that they just did right there.
I feel like the biggest thing was like they hyped it up too much. We got a trailer for this like 2 years ago.
Forever ago. Well, as well as like they bought this. The game getting teased is one thing, but like they bought this studio forever ago.
Yeah.
And they made a big deal about the studio is working on a game. Was this that game forever ago?
Right. The whole time they've just been working on this like, and I guess like it's cool that it's an original. Everything about it's new. It's a fresh new take. It's not a
Right.
But like. Is this where did you put all your eggs in this basket?
No, I mean for them maybe, there's a couple of caveats with this where I think they do have some expectations set. Along with day one on Game Pass for all of these games, this game is $50. It's not it is a budget title in that aspect. It's coming to PC, of course. I think it's announced for PS5 as well. I think the majority of these games also get announced for PS5 at the end.
Yeah.
That's a big thing, I guess, on this developer direct that we could talk about at the end. But there's just straight up announcing PlayStation games now.
Yeah.
Xbox this week after this developer direct. Phil Spencer says they're 100% just releasing everything on PlayStation now. So no PS5 on that, but PC is on the end. So maybe they'll have some exclusives. I don't know what maybe that it'll just take time for that studio to port a PS5
Probably,
version.
yeah. We'll get it first, but
right.
Just stand by.
Yeah, because that studio is very small, from what I understand. I think that studio is 40 people in total.
Oh, wow.
Same thing with this studio. This studio is not an Xbox studio, though. This one is a third party. This isn't a published game by them either. This is just a...
Oh, yeah. I remember this. Yep.
Yeah.
I do recall this game, too.
But this is this studio's first game. Claire Obscure Expedition 33 is what we're talking about. It looks okay. I don't know. A French JRPG inspired game.
It looks like a really fancy Final Fantasy esque,
Yeah, and I think it's time for a good one of those. It's been a very long time since we've had a traditional turn-based Final Fantasy, let alone one that was good.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's been plenty of turn-based games out there.
Well, this one's not traditional though, because they've added the whole you can technically dodge every move.
Oh yeah, they have the Paper Mario mechanics.
You can technically make a no hit run because you can dodge everything. There's inputs.
Yeah, quick time inputs
when you're
and stuff.
Attacking to add. So they've tried to revamp that mechanic.
Right. So yeah.
So you have to actually pay attention to the turn base.
Yeah, and these characters look super super unique. Even the human characters and their outfits and stuff like that. I love the way this game looks.
Yeah, it looks really cool. Everything looks really, like you said, unique. Even the menus, that pop up and stuff. The menus have a very Persona feel.
I like a lot of the menus, but I do think they are a little bit scattered and a lot of the fonts very different in a lot of locations, and even in the menus it's okay, there's a slate of menus that look a certain way, and then they'll get to a page of a menu and then it's that looks completely different of font wise and everything like that. I don't know, a lot of it seems deliberate, but
I feel like there's some sort of intention behind it, but it could just be a choice.
Right.
A weird choice. The story itself is kind of weird to me. I'm not attached to that.
Yeah. The story is that you have this painter being that paints a number on this giant totem at every year, right? And it's counting down, and when it hits a number, everyone past that number, everyone of that number passes away. So Expedition 33, all of the 32-year-olds now are going out and trying to go kill this witch that has plagued their town. All the expedition.
It's not the most original trope, but it's cool.
Yeah, it's also I don't know how in depth they'll go with it. It seems like there's a lot more going on around it rather than just that happening.
Yeah, I think it's probably more of a metaphor or something. I'm sure there's a lot more of a deeper surrounding story than like...
It's like their crutch to get on their adventure versus like the adventure itself.
Exactly, yeah, right. It's how all these random
people meet.
Watch as 5 random 32-year-olds come together and become friends in 33, you know, like something like that. But
let me pull up the cast for this. So, like, there is a lot of budget to this game. This is the studio's first game.
Yeah.
And they are... I mean, I don't know how much money they spend on this game, but there is money on the screen. And maybe they can get away with a lot more where they don't have to focus on straight-up action mechanics, right? Like, a lot of the reason why, like... I mean, fidelity is definitely a big factor in it, but game development-wise, when you have money on... When people say money on the screen and stuff like that, you're paying for people's time.
Yeah.
To make something. And when you have an action-heavy combat game that also looks pretty, and the reason why it costs $250 million is because you're having people spend a lot of time on fidelity, but then you're also having a separate group of people that cost just as much to spend a lot of time creating action sequences and making sure things don't collide and stuff. Like, it being turn-based, I think, saved them a lot of money.
Yeah, for sure, because you're not tracking every single little jump and move. Everything's more calculated.
Right, and you don't have to worry about, like, every sword swing, like, colliding with one another in, like, a hitbox, right? Like, there's things that, like...
Exactly.
You don't have to program like that. Let me pull up the cast, though, because the cast is...
I mean, that's the guy from Twilight, right?
That's what he looks like. I don't think that's him.
It looks just like him.
Voice Actors Expedition.
I don't remember his name, but... That looks like the guy from Twilight.
Meet our cast. Charlie Cox is that dude. Do you know who Charlie Cox is?
No.
Mr. Daredevil.
Oh, which one?
The Daredevil from the Marvel shows.
Oh, the most recent Daredevil?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's cool. Look at that.
Jennifer English from Baldur's Gate 3.
Cool, makes sense. Video game adjacent.
Right. Christy Ryder, she's from the Sandman series, the Stephen King series.
Wow, so many, like, TV people.
Yeah. Shyla Nix, she's from the Old Guard. I don't think I've seen that before, the Old Guard, but Renoir is Andy Serkis, and then Ben Starr is Verso, the villain. Ben Starr is also, I mean, he's more in video games than anything, but he's probably the most notable in our circles because he's like Clive from the Final Fantasy 16, the meta character. He's in Baldur's Gate as well and stuff like that.
I feel like everyone's in Baldur's Gate.
Right. Yeah.
Bajillion voices.
There's so many voices, dude. It's like Grand Theft Auto. It's like when the voice actor strike was happening and they were like, oh, but Grand Theft Auto's cool. It was like, well, yeah, because everybody's on Grand Theft Auto.
Right.
Like, everybody's getting paid really well because Rockstar has money, and then everybody's on Grand Theft Auto. So, like, I don't know. But yeah, this is like a 20-person studio.
Wow.
You know, like, this is a very small team.
Looks good for that, yeah.
They all work inside, like, they've been showing their office. It's like inside of like an old French manor. Like
it's like a living room, yeah.
Yeah, it's like 8 computers and like several rooms. Like they don't have a lot of people.
Right.
The art direction is insane. This is this dude's first game as well. Fuck, dude. What? This is crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely like a good first step. Even if it doesn't do super well.
Yeah.
It's already like people are already looking that way. Like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Like, even if this is a 7 out of 10, like,
Because, like, this looks like a Baldur's Gate world.
right, 100%. And, like, I don't, it seems like you'll still have full character motion, like, outside of
Yeah.
the world, like, outside of combat and stuff like that. So, like, unlike Baldur's Gate, you'll be able to, like, get really deep in that shit, like a Zelda almost. This was like,
Right, yeah.
or Final Fantasy, I guess. Like, that's how old Final Fantasies work too. But,
Right.
Um,
Yeah, it looks super fun. Very gorgeous.
a lot of inspiration and like art and stuff. Like, I don't know. It's one thing. Bossman has his show outside of streams called Delayed Input. He talked about a lot of the NPCs that they have shown don't have faces.
Yeah.
A lot of the characters like are masked.
They wear masks.
figures
I was just thinking about that, yeah.
So I wonder if like you save some animation time behind that, but
Oh, absolutely.
You know, like that's only one area in this giant world,
And you don't have to specify what anything looks like because they have
Right.
masks. So it's like, who knows what kind of creature's behind the mask?
right?
It'd be very vague but specific at the same time. It's a good ploy.
Yeah, but you know you can go to like 17 other towns in here, and who knows what they're filled with, right?
Right, and
Like
then you can
this
do whatever
giant-ass
this is.
over-
What is this?
So this is the overmap. That giant fat jester dude that they showed a minute ago.
Yeah.
He's like your Appa basically.
Ah, okay. Nice.
He's
Like how you fast travel around.
yeah, he's your all-powerful being that also like helps you get around the overworld. They showed like a part where like you can walk around as your party in the overworld map, but
Yeah.
then you use your big dude, your blimp dude, to get across like even greater distances. And like apparently like there's like hidden mini bosses and stuff like that. Like there's gonna be cool shit just hidden in random spots.
Oh yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah, like that dude. Like that's just in the overworld map, hiding.
And you
then-
could just fly into it and be like, all right.
Yeah, I'm gonna go fight this hard ass fight now and stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like it. It's Paper Mario mechanics with like, it seems a lot more in depth with how the QTEs will work. But
Yeah.
Like Paper Mario is babies first, turn-based RPG, and then they throw in like press A at the right time to like dodge attacks and stuff like that.
Right.
I think that's really cool. Final Fantasy definitely wasn't like that. Persona's not like that either. Yeah. Cool game. This will also be a budget title. This is $40.
Oh wow, that's really
Yeah.
inexpensive.
Right. Again, studio's first game, a team of like 20 people.
Mm-hmm.
They are swinging way above their defenses, like
Right. Yeah. PS5 on that one.
PS5. But Game Pass day one on that too. These games are also very soon. April 8th for South of Midnight and April 25th for Expedition.
Yeah.
And now we got Doom. Doom. The Dark Ages.
Another Doom.
Yeah, dude. This is medieval Doom. This is cool as shit, in my opinion. First we get them talking a little bit and then show off the game. Bam. Doom the Dark Ages takes place before Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. A lot of the lore and stuff that you find in the game talks about Doom as like this medieval like legendary figure throughout like all of time, basically, like that.
Yeah.
Or at least he's been around for like a few thousand years apparently, and this is that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, why don't we put him in the past and see what all of those stories and legends were about. A lot of Doom 1 was like run and gun. Doom 2 was very first person platformer-esque.
Yeah.
This is going to be like stand your ground and fight kind of game. It'll still be very fast. But they talked about they want to focus even deeper on combat. Like they have traversal down, they have the runny gunny feeling down. They want to like double down on like what you can do in combat. So they give you like multiple melee weapons. You have a flail, a giant club, your shield, and then I think a hammer as well. But your shield is also your traversal weapon, so you can jump, you can throw it out like that, but you can also teleport to it and stuff.
Nice.
I don't know, it looks cool. I like the shield a lot. It does seem like they've slowed down a lot of the combat for this trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, here they're showing like, yeah, running gun, jumpies, and now we want you to like be able to like parry shit.
Right. It looks like you'd be fighting like a lot more like bigger single-handed things.
Right, for sure. Yeah, bigger bosses and stuff. A lot of mini bosses in this. Now that I'm rewatching it. The other ones were like more linear. This is a open world map. This is a giant, like each zone feeds into each other. There's going to be like secrets and stuff that they said.
Right.
Well,
like it's known for their secrets.
Right, but like Claire Obscura, where they're going to have like hidden mini bosses and stuff like that.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Yeah. Versus like original Doom was like, here's like this hidden key card and like a picture of John Romero.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like this will be like, hey, if you want to fight like some really hard shit, go look in some dark corners. Which that's cool. That's cool to me. I don't know how deep into it, but this gun's really cool. You're feeding human skulls into it, and it's shooting the shrapnel as like a spread. So metal. And this is like a Tesla gun that shoots electric and a lot of cool new weapons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then of course you get your shoddy and stuff like that. Here they're talking about enemy placement and stuff like that in the open world environment. It kind of reminds me of like looking at a Bloodborne when they're like, here's this line of enemies and they're not moving because we're showing what they look like in their state.
Right.
But once you actually get into motion, I think this looks really cool. Yeah, this is what I was talking about with South of Midnight, though, is like you have this area that you're moving through, and then you just like you can put enemies like throughout it, right?
Right.
I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
This is a combat arena, but you don't need like walls thrown up.
But you're not like locked here.
Yeah, right. You can just like stroll right past everyone.
Right. Yeah, it looks neat.
It looks neat.
I've never been like super big into Doom.
Really?
Dude. I played a little bit, but
dude, Doom.
It got really repetitive to me, I think, because it's a lot of the just like shoot the same monster and
it
kill
is
the
a
same
gameplay
monster.
loop for sure.
Yeah, which I mean is fine, but I don't know.
You might like Eternal more, because of how platform-esque it is. It breaks up like the monotony of like just killing things.
Right.
But this breaks up monotony too. So they give you a giant mech now.
Nice.
Which
is crazy because I thought we were back in time.
Right, we are. So all over the original game, Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, you'll find dead titans all over the map.
Yeah.
So now you're fighting titans.
That's
and
cool.
Then they're also going to give you a dragon.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
Right, and there's mini bosses and stuff hidden around the map for both of those. So we'll see how crazy that will get. I feel like the Titan thing will be cool for like once or twice, and then like never again. But the dragon, that might be some cool ass shit. I don't know. Day one on Game Pass announced that 2015 or not 2015, May 15th is the day for that. Here they're showing like there's going to be a lot more like story to it.
Like it's gonna a lot more traversing.
Yeah, there's a lot of environmental storytelling in these games, but this one's a lot more lush with environments.
Right, because you're not just in hell the whole time.
Right, and then Doom Eternal, you're on Earth, but it's all like blown to shit and stuff. But here, you have like your medieval settings and stuff, but you also have like character moments and cutscenes and stuff. Like, at least a little bit. Hopefully it's not a lot, because, Doomslayer doesn't speak.
Right.
But in 2016 and then Doom Eternal, a lot of like the way you pick up story is through the codex entries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then like you might walk past an NPC and then he'll talk to you for a minute like Half-Life style, and then you carry on forward. But it seems like they're gonna have a deliberate approach to characters here. Underwater segments.
That's cool.
Yeah.
A lot of Captain America shield.
Yeah, a lot.
Reminds me of the God of War.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking too with the axe.
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
That's cool, especially like if you're already in this, into this collection of games. This is like very exciting.
100%. I think
because it is a fresh take on it.
Yeah, I think if this Doom doesn't get you excited for Doom, I don't know what will get you excited for Doom.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember which Doom I played. I played one, and it was fun. I mean, like I said, you get to run around, you get to shoot stuff, and
yeah. Did you have a grapple hook?
Yada yada. I don't remember.
In Doom Eternal, you get a grapple hook, the second one. So that's a big part of the traversal mechanics and stuff. That's like the big thing. But Doom 1, I mean, you basically wouldn't be able to tell the difference until you start like jumping around.
Yeah.
And stuff. Because they're all super fast. A big thing, they did show the accessibility for a minute. That's a spoiler too. At the end of Doom 2, you start finding angels and shit like that. So it seems like that this is also going to be very angel focused as well. What was I gonna say? Oh, they showed like a giant like menu of like accessibility options, and they showed like game speed on there and enemy like aggressiveness and like enemy not enemy variety, but the amount of enemies on screen and stuff like that. Like it's all on sliders.
Yeah.
So
okay.
You could really tune it too.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then here they're getting all the team ready and stuff, and then gonna announce the date.
Doom kind of reminds me of like Halo.
Yeah, I could see that. It should be the other way around. I totally see that.
Yeah, I guess.
One definitely came first.
I suppose, yeah, but I played the other one first.
Right, 100%. No, I was gonna say Ninja Gaiden. A lot of the Ninja Gaiden stuff reminds me of like Destiny, like the way that those things look and shit. There's so much like armor and stuff. I think Doom will be the new Halo. Because Halo's in a very bad spot right now.
Right.
Like, so we can talk about Xbox in general of like where Xbox is, right? Because like they have games in the pipeline, and this is obviously showing that, but like a lot of what Xbox was back in the day is no more.
Yeah.
And I think this week has kind of shown that, where they're like, everything's going to PlayStation and Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was announced today that Forza Horizon 5 is coming to PlayStation.
Oh, wow.
And then in the interview that Phil Spencer had said that nothing's on, he was like, yeah, Matt, Halo's coming to other systems. Like, straight up.
Right.
Nothing is sacred. Or, I mean, it's sacred, but, like, nothing is it's just the console war is over,
Mhm.
right? Like, Xbox has not only lost the console war, but like they make so much more money from other things that they don't have to worry about it.
Right. Yeah.
Like, we're talking about a multi-trillion-dollar company
Mm-hmm.
who owns Xbox versus Sony, where PlayStation is the moneymaker of Sony.
Right.
And PlayStation has almost tripled the amount of Xboxes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Nintendo in their own.
They're doing their own thing.
Yeah.
They have their own crowds for the most part, and
Right. Yeah, so Xbox is just like in a weird spot with they're doing the Xbox Play Anywhere thing, where that's their big thing. Everything's an Xbox.
right.
That's their new tagline. Your
Oh,
phone, your TV, your smart TV,
Your PlayStation.
your PlayStation, anything that will be able to support an Xbox Cloud app or an Xbox Game Pass app is an Xbox now.
Yeah, they're basically trying to like be a Steam.
Right. And the big speculation of right now is, will there be an Xbox next generation?
Right. Yeah.
I think there will be. I don't think it will be that type of Xbox. I think it'll work with these Xboxes. It would be dumb if they don't put a disk drive in the next one. I think they should, and then have everything backwards compatible by that point. But a big thing is that it would just be a straight up mini PC with like
right. I mean,
Steam
that's
built into it,
almost
right?
where we're at. I mean, even just
That's
back to the Switch 2. It's literally
that's what Steam Decks are.
right.
Right. Yeah, and you just have those OSs built like into the console itself, and then you can access any of it.
I was gonna say, I mean, we're getting to the point where it's like, yeah, these things are almost as strong as a computer. Some of them are stronger, and it's like,
oh yeah,
you might as well just make a Sony PlayStation computer or an Xbox computer, and then have all the capabilities of, just like when you made the PlayStation and people use it as a DVD player,
Yeah.
Do that, but with a computer.
100%.
All the uses of a computer with the Sony name slapped onto it. You can get Steam or whatever onto it as well.
Right.
And
100%.
then you can go into the whole getting crazy with the customizations and stuff, and less about putting out a new console every few years and more about updating just the software and stuff. And
yeah, or they could do the if you're just selling like a glorified like Google device, right? Google Home, basically. Like, it might be cheap enough at that point where like a yearly model might make sense, where like you could just keep iterating on it and iterating on it, making those things more powerful. I mean, the one thing with that I worry about this Play Anywhere thing is that in order to play anywhere, or everything's an Xbox, you still have to own an Xbox controller. I might be wrong, but a lot of the PC games I think have multi-controller support. So, or a PlayStation controller or a Razer or whatever, but you still need a controller.
Some sort of,
And there's still some sort of extra buy-in other than the initial cost of Game Pass or Cloud is a subscription, right? But I think the games that they're throwing up on the slate, if you're smart with it, I think are worth the subscription value, right? Maybe not every month, but they're putting out Claire Obscura and South of Midnight in the same month, Ninja Gaiden in the fall, Doom in May. We have Fable still out there. We have another Forza coming. We have what was that? Immortals 33 Immortals is another one that was like a the 33-person roguelike MMO
Oh,
thing.
right, yeah.
We have there's a couple other things I'm definitely missing. Gears got announced, right? A new Gears is coming on the way. Like, I think Xbox is making a very compelling case in exclusives, but now they're putting the exclusives everywhere and want you to just join the ecosystem. I don't know if it's enough for the casual to just join an ecosystem on their phone like that. I don't know. Maybe it's, if people aren't buying consoles, like, is the buy-in of a controller and a subscription too much?
Yeah.
For people? Like, I don't know where we're at with games to make them even more enticing as what they are. I feel like, I mean, like, I don't know. Consulting is getting very popular right now. I'm seeing a lot of that, of like people are leaving jobs and being like, I'm gonna be a consultant now and help your video game studio get on the right track. And
interesting.
Like, there's a lot of that happening.
You can only have so many of those.
Right. But I think a lot of that's coming in the wake of like everybody was making live service games, and now that bubble's finally popped, people are like, I don't know what to do. It's almost like people have forgotten how to be creative.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But it seems like, I mean, other than Nintendo, like, Xbox is putting out, like, some really creative shit. Like, even their sequels, Doom 4, or Doom 3, Doom 28, like, this is a new Doom. And there's a lot of stuff that's just new.
That's true, yeah. They did do a lot of, Sorry, I'm just looking at the color schemes for Ninja Gaiden, and South of Midnight are the same.
Oh, yeah.
It was
very close,
tripping me out. They just had the same person make
even
the title
Claire
cards.
Obscura is probably in the same.
At least that one has like the red tint, but like
the
these
gold.
two chose like that weird gray.
Yeah. The gothic, like, black knight.
I mean, I'm sure, I guess that makes sense. Whoever made the thumbnails probably did the same.
Oh, yeah, there's probably all straight.
Because they're all
Xbox.
IGN
Doom's
thumbnails,
the same way.
yeah. So, okay, that makes more sense now. But yeah, I was just like, wow, how do those games do that? It's like how all the movie movie posters look the same.
Right. Somebody's color correcting.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Xbox. Xbox is, again, in a weird spot because, like, they're just... I don't think they know what they want, so, of course, none of their fans know what they want from them.
Mm-hmm.
Because Xbox is, like, a chicken with their head cut off. Like,
right, yeah.
And I don't get it because, like, again, they're a multi-trillion-dollar company, so it's like... Just, like, fucking work on the shit you bought.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, you bought Call of Duty.
They just want to buy it all.
Yeah, and then not, like...
They don't want to keep working on it.
Right. 100%. Yeah, because it's like... I mean, they to their credit, they've been letting games cook for however long, right?
Right, yeah.
But they've made, like, zero initiative in, like, marketing. Other than, like, these developer directs and stuff, they've made zero initiative and, like, helping those teams from what we've been told. It's like a lot of those teams were like, yeah, we're gonna give you the budget to work on whatever, but we're also like, just do your thing. We're not gonna give you any guidance.
Right.
And I don't know, maybe Xbox doesn't have people to guide. I don't know. It is very strange though that they just went out and bought all these studios, and like, and this is again Compulsion's finally putting out the game that they were apparently working on when they got bought in 2017 or whatever.
Yeah. And it's not the most thrilling, but maybe we could be completely wrong.
Right. I mean, like, Fable is still not out yet from that initial buyout. State of Decay 3 is also not out yet. So there's still a few other games that also there's like 9 studios they announced that they bought at the same time, and like half of those games still aren't out yet.
Oh wow.
Yeah. like Double Fine put out a game. ID's, of course, all the Bethesda studios have since put out games since then. But out of the initial bunch, it honestly just might be or no, Obsidian as well. Obsidian is like their workhorse. Obsidian keeps pumping out stuff, whereas like Grounded, Pentiment, Avowed, Outer Worlds, like they're just fucking bringing out stuff. And they, again, Avowed comes out next month, and then Outer Worlds 2 is at the end of the year.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting.
Right. Yeah, Obsidian's crazy, man. But it makes me think of like what are the other studios doing? Like what's happening?
Right. Yeah, why
isn't Xbox stepping in and being like, "Hey, do you guys need help? Why is South of Midnight taking 8 years to make this? And then why are we putting out at $40? I think 40 or 50. They're both budget titles, but one of them's 40, one of them's 50.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But then Ninja Gaiden 4, you look at the fucking budget behind that, and you're like, holy shit, that's money.
Yeah.
And with Clair Obscura, it could be one of those things where like a lot of European development and stuff is funded by government grants and stuff like that, just to like keep the arts alive.
Yeah.
So a lot of their budget could come from French government. That might be the reason why. But there was like, there was one part in the trailer. Dude was like, I was approached to work on the game, and then I quit my job the next day, and I was like, how? With what money?
Right. That's crazy.
With what money? It's like how
I mean, some people just I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like you must be getting funding from somewhere to like have that studio and like be able to hire people and stuff like that. But it's
right.
Like,
you didn't just convince all those people to support your dream. Like, you definitely had a way to pay them.
Yeah, but when dude was like, I was approached to work on gameplay mechanics. I was like one of the original 3 people. I was like, you fucking quit your job? What are you talking about, man? What are you talking about?
What job?
Yeah. I don't know. The French people, man. They just make bread all day.
Yeah, literally.
I have a couple of other things I want to talk about other than trailers and stuff. I don't know how deep we wanted to get into this, but Ubisoft's in a very bad spot right now.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, they've been like bleeding money constantly. Games aren't doing too hot. And Star Wars Outlaws didn't sell too well.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed keeps getting delayed. Skull and Bones finally came out after 9 years of development hell, and of course it flopped.
Right.
And like, yeah, they're just they're just canceling games left and right, chopping studios. The most recent of that is Ubisoft lays off another 185 people and shutter one of the studios behind Star Wars Outlaws and Division 2.
Yeah.
That's kind of misleading on what studio it is. It's not the Division team directly. It's Ubisoft Leamington is the name of the studio. They were initially a different studio that worked on DJ Hero.
Oh wow, okay.
And stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then would get bought by Ubisoft later to work. I forgot what they worked on after DJ Hero. But yeah, they were apparently in the works of working on probably some other rhythm-esque game.
Yeah.
But they also do a lot of support studios and stuff like that, and Ubisoft is bleeding money, and if you don't want to get rid of the main studios, right, you got to start cutting off support.
Right.
So basically, that's what they're doing right now. Ubisoft over the last month has talked about from going back from being public traded to being privately owned again, which to resell basically, and then sell off to Tencent is what they were talking about. Which, I mean, a couple years ago, Tencent was like a really aggressive, like just buying up stock and like trying to basically aggressively take over Ubisoft.
Yeah.
But since then, I think Tencent has sold like the majority of that stock. Probably well before they started dropping significantly too.
Right.
But Ubisoft stock is at like $2 a share right now. It's like real bad.
Yeah.
And I think it was at like $14-15 at the beginning of the pandemic. So
wow.
It's looking real gnarly for them. Of course, everybody wants Yves Guillemot's head on a stake right now, or at least him out of the company. But the Guillemot family is the people who own the company for the most part. I think they own like 40-something% or something like that, the majority of the company.
Jeez,
and then the rest of the investors and stuff like that. But Ubisoft has been a family-owned company since the beginning. And it's always been the Guillemot family and the Guillemot brothers. There's 4 or 5 of them.
Oh, wow.
Yves has been the CEO lead since probably the early 90s.
That's crazy.
Before then. And Ubisoft has been around. Ubisoft was around before games. Like they were making other softwares and other like. I think they made like plastic, like not toys, but like tools and stuff like that as well.
Oh, word. Interesting.
Yeah. A lot of these companies own other things too. So it's not like when you buy Ubisoft, you're just buying video games. You're buying like real estate and like. For Konami owns like massage parlors and like pachinko things and stuff like that. It's when you start buying these full not otherworldly, but outside of the U.S., you start getting into companies outside of the U.S. They own a lot more random things. Yeah, I don't know. Ubisoft is just in a weird spot, so I thought it would be worth bringing it up. Of like, hey, do you have any thoughts about like Assassin's Creed or anything?
I mean, I've seen a lot of trailers for it recently. The whole being in Japan or whatever.
Yeah,
it looks really cool. I'm excited to try a new Assassin's Creed that looks a little more smooth, you know?
Right, and you have 2 different play styles. And everything. I think it looks great. I mean, the culture war shit surrounding it is heinous. But you're not as online as I am, so you don't have to see it. But everybody's like, the game's woke because Black Samurai guy and woman ninja.
Oh, right, yeah. And
Black Samurai guy is also like a historical figure.
Right,
so
yeah.
People are like running with it of like, I know Wikipedia, this isn't in the Wikipedia page.
Right. Yeah, that was like a big talk when it first came out too. It was like, oh my god.
I mean, it's cool.
And like why? And also, who cares?
It's a fucking video game. It's a fantasy video game.
Like you're not even gonna, you're gonna be all suited up and fighting and shit.
Right. Or talk about the video game where Jupiter speaks to the character and talks about the rest of human civilization's future.
Right. I never understood that. Like, why does it matter?
I don't. Yeah. This crazy ass shit. You go to Valhalla or Atlantis in the last one.
Right.
The Lost City of Atlantis is like a main feature in the last Assassin's Creed. Like, I don't.
It's all dumb. That part of the like, that argument has always been so dumb to me.
I think the woke brain rot virus shit has gotten so far. I mean, we've talked about like media literacy and shit like that.
Yeah.
But like, people are just taking everything at face value and like being like, "Oh, it's woke. Oh, it's fucking."
Yeah,
it's
I like to just think that most of that is just trolling.
Yeah,
Like most of it's just like, oh, here's a thing that's different. Let me call it something, even though I really don't care.
Right.
I'm really not going to do anything about it.
Yeah.
But I can quickly make a bunch of people mad by making rage bait.
Right.
I think that's a big part of it is just rage bait.
100 grifters, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people just,
people who don't play video games.
Right, exactly. People that don't play video games, yeah, exactly, right.
Right.
So that's why a lot of it I'm just like, whatever, bro, it's still going to sell, and you'll see.
Right.
You know?
I mean, fingers crossed, right? Because it's like, I don't know how much of it is real or not, right? Like,
yeah.
When the Hogwarts Legacy outcry was happening, Hogwarts Legacy was the best-selling game of that year.
Right.
It outsold Call of Duty, and that was the first time Call of Duty has been outsold by a non-Rockstar game since, like, the mid-2000s.
Right.
But then you have the other side of the coin where, like, Star Wars Outlaws didn't sell too well, and it got caught up in this shit.
Right. But was it a good game?
Yeah, I don't know. People said it was
it.
fine.
Yeah.
But that's another thing of, like, a lot of games can't be fine anymore. A lot of games have to be great.
Yeah.
Not just great. They have to be 10 out of 10.
Yeah, they have to be really great or, like, really funky.
Right. Yeah, you have to be a meme or you have to be excellent. Like, you have to be Baldur's Gate or you have to be Human Fall Flat.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's where we're at now. So, like, I don't know, like, even the people having these woke argument conversations, like, of course they don't have any nuance because they're taking everything at face value, but I think even, like, a lot of the games industry has lost nuance. Like, just the mid-tier of everything, the creativity of everything, like, the chasing of trends, like, a lot of it has been, it's not just making games, it's, like, the making of games is gamified.
Right.
It's very strange. I don't know.
I feel like we've kind of just reached that, like, sort of meta part of life.
Yeah.
Where we're just kind of, like, figuring out what the next thing is, but we're still caught up in the next thing was literally yesterday, and we're trying to find the new next thing tomorrow, and so today we're making a meta of that, and it's a vicious cycle. I think we're just kind of stuck in, like, meta at the moment. Everything's about breaking the fourth wall or following the trend, or not that there isn't originality, but that is kind of like what it's revolving around at the moment, because there's just so much. But also, like, even with all the complaints and stuff, I think that there's just so many people in the world that even with all the complaints, there'll still be enough. If the quality's there, there'll still be enough people to support to get it.
But then that's the other side of the coin of, like, what's the budget?
Yeah.
Right. Like,
right. Yeah. I mean, that's right.
How many? If theoretically 1 million copies sells, that's really good. But if the budget's $200 million, like, what the fuck?
And that's like on a whole. That's a whole different. That's like with movies and stuff. You kind of have to decide, like, do you think your idea is worth
100%.
This much money?
Yeah.
You know, because, like, Sony's been pretty committed to the Spider-Verse, and all of those movies have flopped. So, like, you know, it's not like...
Did they? Yeah, no, the first one...
all the Spider-Man movies are fine. I'm talking about the Spider-Verse, like Craven, Madam Web.
I was thinking the actual Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, no. Those are fine. Like, actual Spider-Man, when he's in the movie, but all the ones that they've been trying to build their own multiverse surrounding Spider-Man. So they had Craven, they had Madam Web, they had
Morbius.
Morbius. They were trying to create this thing, and, like, more power to them, but they didn't. But that's, like, something that had a great following already.
Right.
You know, has a history of a good story and backup and fans can flop because it's not made well. The opposite can happen if something's made well just because there's a fucking vagina as the star of it. Like,
Right.
who cares? Like, it'll be fine.
Yeah. I think
Rio recognizes Rio. That's at the end of the day. That's how it works.
Right. I think film is going to start bouncing back because I mean a big complaint about modern movies and like how they're made is like the creativity's lost and everything's just boring now.
We'll with film. We're starting to go kind of like where video games are going, where a lot more. We're leaning back into the independent side of things. Those would become a huge like unless you're one of the top 5 directors currently or whatever. Right. It's a lot of just independent films. A24 obviously has made that made that a big change as well.
Right.
But yeah, it's starting to do the video game where it's like a lot of independent artists where we need more ideas. These people that we've relied on are starting to make flop movies, and it's like, all right, well, let's fucking start branching out. And,
right. Yeah. I mean, and people that create amazing games they're flopping. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Star Wars Outlaws team is the Division team in the but they also made that Avatar game that came out too, like in the middle of all that. Yeah. It was like what the fuck, Ubisoft? I don't know what the budget is on these things. They're obviously hundreds of millions of dollars, but I don't know what you expected out of it.
Right. That one might have just been like, hey, George Lucas said he'll give you $1 million if you make a quick fucking Avatar game.
Or James Cameron.
James Cameron.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, James
Lucas
Cameron.
is Star Wars.
Lucas is Star Wars. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. It could be that. It's just very strange, like, because Ubisoft, the theoretical live service game, infinite money kind of thing is you make money in perpetuity to fund the other things. Mm-hmm. But somewhere down the road, like, studios stopped trying to fund other little games and stuff and tried funding other big live service things with other big live service things. But then all of that flops because everybody's playing a live service game has their live service game.
Right.
And they're not trying to like go to I mean, even with Fortnite's doing very well, but they have the problem of like they have now 18 different things that they can do in Fortnite, and some of them don't hit as hard as the others.
Right.
So, like, the player base for, like, whatever the music Fortnite thing is not as big as, of course, Lego or whatever.
Yeah.
Ubisoft is in the same boat of, like, hey, we have, like, Rainbow Six Siege or whatever, right? And then we have For Honor is another really big one of theirs. But then they put out like Roller Drum, or that might be the other game that I'm thinking of. They put out this like roller derby game.
Yeah.
And they put out Knockout City, and then they put out like 15 other live service games. I mean, just Tom Clancy. X Defiance, fucking The Division, there's like 2 Rainbow Six Siege like mobile games, like
live service games are really hard to keep up with if you're not in that dedicated, like if you're not doing something already that's like dedicated to it.
Right. I mean, the whole draw of those is like you have this player base that spends a lot of money on this one thing.
Yeah.
And you keep updating that one thing to keep them there.
Right.
But then that would fund all of the little things, right?
Yeah.
But now you're trying to serve this little audience that's giving you a lot of money, and then the rest of the audience that's been waiting for all of the other things has gone away because you stopped putting out those things.
Right.
And it's like, or you've put out so many of those things that you've saturated the market with bad things.
Right.
Like in the case of Assassin's Creed, of like, there's a lot of good Assassin's Creeds, but like, the last few were like 200-hour plus games with a couple $100 worth of DLC altogether between the trilogy. Like,
right.
you start stretching that fan base out like that too.
Yeah. Just with money, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, back in the day, Assassin's Creed, when Assassin's Creed 2 and 3 and 4 were coming out, they had the Rayman games. They had, like, fucking Dance Central, Just Dance, or whatever. They had all of the licensed stuff. They were doing a lot more. And I think the video games industry has just forgotten how to do a lot more, I guess.
Right. Probably. I mean, we're kind of switching hands with everything. It's like, you know, almost everything that was is being taken over by the new stuff. So it's a whole lot of, like, relearning and,
Right.
you know, entering a new generation of games and
Right. I mean, you have a lot of
that kind of
studio.
stuff.
You have a lot of talent that's been at studios right now, either being fired or leaving
Right.
at their own volition.
Yeah, and so, like, everyone making games now is, like, just fresh faces that have just been playing games.
Right. Which costs so much more.
Yeah.
There's a podcast I do listen to called Play, Watch, Listen, where it's Mike Bithell, who owns Bithell Games, talks about a lot of, like, why games cost so much, and it is the cost of people, right? You
Right.
have a Ubisoft game, you look at the credits, there's like fucking 200, 300 people on one team.
Yeah, it's like a movie. Like, you watching the end credits.
Yeah, it'll be 200, 300 people on one team, and there'll be like several teams that are on that game, so it's like
Right.
4,000 people in total. Each one of those people are, not everyone's a $100,000 salary, but, you know,
At least living wage.
right, everybody's living wage and can support themselves, you know, like, and money costs different in different places, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
these Assassin's Creed studio or Assassin's Creed games, they'll be like 2 French studios, Assassin's Creed Montreal or Ubisoft Montreal in Canada, Ubisoft Quebec, and then Ubisoft LA and Austin, and like
Right.
you have all of
You
these
have to
different-
convert all the prices and make sure
Right.
that, and you have to have this money ahead of time because you have to pay them before the game comes out and you make your money for the game.
Right. But it's a lot easier to pay people that have been working for the company for a very long time because you don't have to teach them on new operations of work,
Right.
new work culture. They don't have to get reacclimated. But when you're bleeding people and then trying to spin up like new projects, so you have to rehire and stuff. Rehiring and training all of those people.
Right.
Getting like health insurance set up and then all of that stuff that costs so much fucking money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think money's going in to the right places when it comes to people. I just think Ubisoft's management of people is pretty fucked too.
Yeah.
I think it said at the beginning of 2020 it was like 24,000 people work for Ubisoft in total. I think it's closer to like 18,000 now.
Wow.
But even then, 18,000 people, and what? They're making Assassin's Creed?
Yeah.
That's it? Like, that's what your whole company is relying on right now to
Right.
make it out? Is Assassin's Creed?
Like the 100th Assassin's Creed at that, not even like
Right.
a fresh title or a wanted title.
There's probably more Assassin's Creeds than Call of Duty. And Call of Duty's been out longer.
At this point, yeah. I can believe that. It's definitely more. There's definitely more than Kingdom Hearts at this point.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, Assassin's Creed has so many, like, spin-offs and stuff, too.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
like, there's, like, 4 or 5 PSP Assassin's Creed games.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, like, China, Russia, like, a whole bunch of random
I
spin-off
want to play.
games.
I want to play Assassin's Creed Australia.
I would believe it, man.
Just-
Dude.
Fight a bunch of prisoners.
Yeah, it would be the, Assassin's Creed Outback.
Yeah, yeah. Down under.
Yeah, that's a good one. Assassin's Creed Down
Just get
Under.
to fight kangaroos all day.
That'd be sick.
That'd be cool.
And go throw people in the...
There's not enough Australian video games.
No.
Never got to shoot a kangaroo.
I think Zootopia has Australia or Zoo Tycoon.
Yeah, I guess if I want to fucking rank, yeah, you can't shoot a kangaroo though.
There's that game.
Not that I want to do that, but if it's in a game.
In the Doom trailer, in that Doom thing, they showed Rage. Rage, you could pretend it's Australia because it's all like desert apocalypse.
Okay. I guess that's kind of close.
It's like the desert, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. The fucking weird, man. And then we talk about live service real quick. With Ubisoft is fucked, but Sony's not doing too good either with their live service stuff. You remember when they announced 12 live service games?
Yeah.
Well, 10 of them have been canceled.
Nice. Wow. All right.
10 of them have been canceled as of lately. As most recent, 2 of them got canceled. One of them was from Sony Bend. Sony Bend was the Days Gone people. Days Gone's like a single player motorcycle zombie game, and I mean it did okay. It reviewed okay. I think it sold extremely well though. It's one of those things of like reviewers were like, it's like Sons of Anarchy but worse. But then it sold really well. So like,
nice.
I think it's close to like 10 million units now.
Wow.
And then Bluepoint was working on a live service game. Bluepoint is the studio that is known for remakes.
Okay.
They did the Uncharted collection, and then they would do the Shadow of the Colossus remake, and then as of most recently, their most recent game was Demon Souls remake.
Oh, right.
Apparently, since Demon Souls remake, they've been working on a live service God of War game.
Okay.
When you think of God of War,
I think of hundreds of people playing it once.
when
duking it out.
Bluepoint, the remake studio.
Yeah, that's weird.
Making a live service.
I don't know what you would mean
game.
live. I mean, God of War is a very like solo guy.
Right. Yeah, but he's got a son now.
Okay, I guess.
Boy.
I thought the whole thing was. I thought he was supposed to be taken over.
You drop on an island with 100 boys.
I guess so. Yeah.
I don't know, man.
That sounds like my kind of island.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. I thought he was just taking over completely, like God of Kronos or whatever his name is. Kratos is supposed to retire or die or something at the end.
Yeah,
I haven't finished the game yet.
I didn't finish. I don't think that's where the game leads off of, but I think
probably not.
I think you're not far off of like
right.
where that it ends.
Yeah, I just can't imagine because there's not even that many gods as far as like. No. I don't know. I'm gonna wait till that comes out before I start speculating. But yeah, that's weird.
No, you can't because it got canceled.
Oh, okay, good. Well,
yeah,
good because it was a stupid idea.
Both of these games are non-existent. But we talk about cost and shit, right?
Yeah.
Days Gone. It's been I don't know, mid PS4 generation since that games came out. And like they've pitched other games that have since like that have came out. Like they pitched a Days Gone 2 and that was announced that was like canned right at the beginning. Like PlayStation don't want anything to do with the sequel. Well, apparently they wanted a live service game from them. So they've been working on a live service game for the last 7 years or whatever. And that's a studio of like 200 people.
Right.
And they have nothing to fucking show for it now.
That's crazy, yeah.
And the same thing with the Bluepoint.
Right.
They're not only Sony Bend is one thing because Sony Bend has been around since like the 90s. They made like Siphon Filter back in the day, or Bubsy 3D further than that. But Bluepoint is fairly new, and like they bought them within the last like 5 or 6 years. So you have this studio that makes really amazing remakes, right? And then you buy them because they make a Demon Souls remake. And then what you do with buying the studio is put them on a live service game?
Right.
What? And then, again, it's been 2020 is when that game came out, right? And they bought that studio like a few months later. But that whole time they were definitely working on something.
Something, right.
So like again, the cost of people, like a studio of 60 people or whatever, just spinning their wheels for 4 years because you wanted to chase a trend, and now you have nothing to show for
And
it.
now you just, it's 4 years of money down the drain.
And like, if you start firing these people, like, people are gonna revolt. Like,
right.
It's like a huge. This is your mismanagement, and it's the same thing with Ubisoft. It's the same thing with Xbox. Like, Xbox is getting a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
They're definitely not out of the water yet or anywhere close to it, but it's just like mismanagement from all of these companies of like, I don't know, they've just lost touch, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. It's very weird.
Yeah. Even the trends that they're chasing are trends from like over a decade ago.
Right. Well, that's the biggest issue with chasing trends, is especially now, is they're too quick.
Right. And
a trend today will be gone tomorrow.
Right.
Development of a game takes way too long, unless you're making like, a 24-hour game, a 1-week game, something quick.
Right.
Or you happen to attach to a trend that that lasts a year, which is rare.
Right.
You're not gonna. It's silly to follow something like that. Like, trends are for like the independent artists who can put together a game in a couple weeks, make something silly,
Yeah.
Not for, that's it's a weird idea for, especially now. It just takes too long now to make things like that.
Right. So Concord, you remember, like, Concord took 8 years to make before they canceled it, like, a month ago or so?
Right.
It took 8 years to make. In the middle of that, they bought that studio. Again, they bought the studio. So you have this team who you were funding for several years to create a live service game. You're chasing a trend that started with Overwatch. They come up with this idea that's basically Overwatch but PlayStation. And then you have them developing that game since Overwatch came out, basically. And then you buy the studio within like the last 2 years of development of that game for, I don't know, a couple $100 million, right? And then you put it out for 2 weeks, and then you take it offline, and you can't. I don't know. Not only do they take it offline, they refunded everybody.
Yeah.
It was like, why even put it out at that point? But again, they were spinning their wheels for 8 years.
Right.
So they wanted to have something.
Yeah, to do something, right?
But on the back end, it's like that game cost $800 million in development. Not including marketing, not including the studio being bought.
Yeah.
It is $800 million in development to be estimated. $600 million of that was before they got bought. So, it was like, looking at the numbers of that, it was like baffling.
Yeah, that's...
What?
Especially with nothing to show, that is a lot. That's pretty crazy.
And now, numbers-wise, it's like, okay, well, Spider-Man 2 cost $250 million to make. And we know that because of the Spider-Man leak, or the Insomniac leak. So you have this game that costs $800 million to make. And none of your games have ever sold that much. Ever.
Right, that's another thing, too. Like, you should definitely... They put the cart before the horse.
Yeah, PlayStation has never sold that much. Now, on the other hand, we found out how much a Call of Duty costs, and it's somewhere of like $750 million per game without marketing.
Yeah.
So their marketing budget of a Call of Duty game puts each one of those Call of Duties at over $1 billion.
Yeah.
But that's Call of Duty.
Right. They also have Mountain Dew sponsorships and shit, so they're getting other sources of
Right.
income.
But the buy-in to Call of Duty is $70 every year,
Yeah.
and then a skin in Call of Duty costs $20. PlayStation put out Concord, and it sold 20,000 units in total. It was somewhere of like 10,000 of those were on Steam or
Right.
something like that. And then it was a $40 title with no microtransactions.
Wow. Yeah.
But again, you gotta like have the cash to like
Something.
to
Right.
be able to, especially those numbers. Like Call of Duty didn't start with $1 billion games, right?
Right.
Call of Duty's been around since like 2002,
Mm-hmm.
and like I could not imagine the first one costing anywhere close to $10 million.
Right.
Like, no way.
Yeah.
Call of Duty: The Finest Hour probably made well over $1 billion, but that game in 2001 money was probably $5 million.
I was gonna say maybe a
at
couple.
most.
Yeah.
With a team of like 10 people, 20 people. Now, of course, the Call of Duty, the reason why these things cost so much is people, and Call of Duty has Treyarch, Infinity War.
Right. Well, they're huge now. Yeah.
Yeah, Raven Software. They have 4 separate studios that work on Call of Duty at any given moment, and each one of those studios have well over 1,000 people. But they make that money. Like, you can't deny that. Like, it makes sense. So, like, all these trends that they're chasing, it's just there was a reason why they got there, like,
Right.
or how they got there. Same thing with Fortnite. Fortnite was a small team, right, of like, I don't know, maybe 100 people. It's owned by Epic, so that is one thing. Call of Duty, Activision back when Call of Duty started was a very different Activision from now.
Yeah.
So that's different. But Fortnite is owned by Epic, and Epic is the most profitable video game company ever with Unreal Engine.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So with that being said, like, even them, they had a small game that flopped. That game flopped initially, and then they reworked it into a free-to-play game with that small team, and then it took a year for them to even have like any of the like collaborations and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, because they were still fighting other battle royales at the time too.
Right.
Because that was a trend at the time.
It was like PUBG and Apex would come out like a year later as well. And that was around the time of Apex when they were like, we're putting Thanos in the game. And that blew up the doors of everything.
Right.
But there was a growth there. It wasn't a trend because it was like it was a progression.
No, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I guess
they
you
didn't
could call
immediately start getting collabs and stuff. I mean, it was very focused on like gameplay and stuff like that, and then eventually
Right. But with Concord, they were like, not only $800 million in budget, 8 or 7 years to make this game, but we're also gonna make it an episode of a TV show in the secret level collaboration. So there's like an Amazon episode of this game that doesn't exist anymore.
That's funny. Nice. I didn't know that. That's another thing I wanted to check out was that I keep forgetting
secret
that it's
level.
on Amazon, but yeah.
Yeah, I need to check
The
it out
secret
too.
level.
As it's one of those things where like each one of them's like no more than 5 or 10 minutes.
Really? I'm surprised they're not on YouTube.
I'd imagine at some point. It's probably because they'll just get blasted off. Like Amazon would probably take those off real quick.
That's true.
But again, it's not like a money drawing. Like people aren't like, I'm gonna buy an Amazon subscription for secret level.
Right.
So like maybe, I don't know. But again, like a lot of those things seem to be tie-ins to something because they have like the Pac-Man game that's coming out now.
Right.
There's a PlayStation collaboration episode, which is like a whole bunch of different Sony properties all together. Apparently that's like the worst episode though. There's like some dude in like a city and it's like on the street corner is like Kratos and Jack and like it's like a whole
weird
PlayStation World thing. But then separate from that, Concord is its own episode.
Yeah.
It's very strange for PlayStation to be like, we want you to do this weird collab thing, but also Concord. Concord is the next big thing. I don't know. I don't know what they saw in it. I mean, we're not saying anything that anybody hasn't said before, but
I guess they were just confident in the clone. They were just like, if it's close enough to the other thing, people will like it.
Yeah, people said there was like a lot of toxic positivity at that studio, whereas like nobody said no to any idea. So like it's kind of like one of those things where like they were spinning their wheels for 8 years because they were like trying out everything.
Right. And that doesn't necessarily mesh, so there's probably a lot of like, well, this and this work, but not together, so how do we make... Yeah,
but then, again, what came out of it was, like, a super generic hero shooter with, like, very uninspired characters.
Well, that's what happens when you accept everyone's idea. You have to kind of blanket everything.
Right.
Because you're not taking away anything.
And on the other side, nobody's calling out bad ideas of it.
Right.
Like, people are just like, yeah, that's a good idea. We'll put that in the game.
Right. So it was probably a lot of, Yeah,
very strange. That is all the news I do have, though. I thought that Blue Point thing would be fun to end on, because it's such a weird situation.
I will tell you one thing before if that was a signal that you're wrapping up soon.
Yeah.
I went to, because this is video game adjacent, so the reason why we couldn't do it last week, other than me not having my car, was I had a show in Worcester.
Oh, yeah.
It was at, I just found this place. I think it's been out, that's probably been open maybe a year now, maybe longer. I'm just out of the loop. I don't live in Worcester, but it's called Free Play Worcester. And I think they have one in Providence,
they have
too.
A few of them, yeah.
Super cool. It was on a Thursday, so we could pay weekday prices, which is only a few dollars cheaper, but it's already pretty inexpensive. $7, all day pass. I think they open at 4 or 5.
Oh, fuck.
All day pass, $7. All the games are free.
Yeah.
All the games are free, and they have like tons of old school cabinets, original Tron, original DK, like all the old school stuff. They had like 2 different DDR games.
Nice.
A whole room just for pinball, old school, and like the new stuff with the QR scanners thing, so you could like keep up to date with the scores and stuff. A few of the old school like the gun ones.
Yeah. That's my shit. Time Crisis.
Time Crisis was one of them. They had a couple. I think they had the Carnival one.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong. I know they had Time Crisis, but they had...
Carnival.
Carnival. I think there was like 3... There might have been maybe 4 or 5. I'm also getting confused. I'm having flashbacks to when I went to the biggest arcade in New Hampshire now. So I'm trying to like separate those experiences. This one isn't nearly as big as that. This is only 1 floor. The biggest is 3 floors.
Right. But, Free Play is also like a bar.
Yeah, so on top of they have all the games that are free and all that stuff. They have custom drinks. They have like a drink menu that are like, like named after different nerdy things and stuff.
Cool.
And then they sell pizzas and flatbreads. Not a huge food menu. I think it was just pizzas and maybe like appetizer, maybe like
wings and stuff.
I don't even know if they had wings. To be honest, I think it might have just been pizzas and like pretzels or something.
Deep fryer's probably a lot harder.
Very, very small, specific menu. I'd recommend unless you're in a pizza mood to just eat ahead of time.
Always in a pizza
Well, that's
mood.
the other thing is like there is only like 3 tables, and they're all stand-up tables. So it's kind of one of those things like you kind of have to either eat and then play, because it's hard to play and eat pizza at the same time.
Unless you're just going back to the bar or back and
forth. That's the only thing, because they give you the box. It's not a huge pizza, but it's still like a pizza box, and then you're carrying that around in it wasn't crowded when we got there right when they opened, so we could enjoy it before the show, because we weren't going to stay after the show. So it wasn't even crowded, but I can't imagine that if it was, where we would have put our box of pizza.
Yeah.
Luckily it wasn't crowded enough that we could put it on the machine next to us, and we ate it fast enough
that's what we would do, or put it on top.
Oh, yeah. There's some cabinets that you could do that on, but like overall I'd say like either eat first thing, or maybe have like, because once it gets crowded, you're not going to get a table
Right.
unless you already have one, and you're not going to hold a table the whole time because you're
No.
bouncing around games and stuff. But honestly, and I think the weekend prices are like 11 for the whole
Oh.
day, so like it's not even that much more.
Huh.
And $11 for all day arcade,
Yeah.
you know,
Easy.
easy, dude.
That sounds like a
So
lot.
super great time. I mean, I thought that, you know, at least it being video game adjacent, I didn't feel as bad about canceling the podcast because I was
Oh,
like,
I didn't-
hey, I'm still doing video games. I'm doing some reconnaissance right
Well,
now.
Yeah,
But,
I did the Xbox thing, but
yeah.
I mean, if
But yeah.
shit has to, if you have other priorities, like, we can always record this a different day, or
Right, for sure. For sure. I just wanted to explain because it was video game adjacent. I wanted
Yeah.
to kind of tell my tale of like
so cool.
video game stuff. Go check it out. Free play in Worcester, super fun.
I want to go. That sounds sick. The
It was a blast.
The Providence one I have looked up before,
Yeah.
but I don't. Providence sucks.
Yeah, I wonder if that one, like what the difference is as far as like size or accessibility and stuff. Because
Yeah.
so the other cool thing is like in the back there was a show. They just have a whole other like showroom in the back for like
okay.
I guess they have like dance parties and stuff, and they do, you know, comedy obviously, and then
Right.
other stuff. But it's like a whole separate area with like its own bar and its own, and you get to walk down this cool black light hallway with like the Mario, like you're in like one of the Mario levels or whatever. Super neat.
Cool.
So yeah, overall really cool. I definitely recommend it. It's way closer than that New Hampshire place. So and that New Hampshire place, technically, it's kind of like a Dave and Buster's where you just buy a pass to play all the games. Where like this is like you just buy that one thing,
And they're all
and
on free play.
all the games are on free play mode,
Yeah.
which is super cool, especially for like the pinball machines. Like if you're really into
Right.
like getting your scores up, you get the app and you just scan your QR in or whatever, and
Yeah,
and then you can see it real time. So like right now, I could be like, who's trying to beat my score right now, you know? And
that's so cool.
I'm interested to see if they have any pinball tournaments like the other place did, because that would be cool.
I'm sure.
I would
I'm
love
sure.
I would love to see that, as well as like, you know, any other tournaments. I'd love to come to a DDR tournament or something like that. You know,
Yeah, I'm sure DDR as well. There is another place in it's not an arcade in Worcester, but it's like a video game rental kind of situation where you rent time and play a console kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
But they do like Smash and stuff there.
Oh yeah,
That's-
I've seen a couple of those.
Yeah,
Those are
I
pretty
think that's
cool.
next to the Palladium over in Worcester.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been meaning to go to an arcade like that just because like I have nostalgia for it. Like a lot of nostalgia for arcades. But Kyle's not super into them, so it's always been hard to be like, do I go by myself?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. And the closest one here forever was the Foxwoods one, and it's not that good.
Foxwoods is pricey, anyways. Yeah. This
That
this
too.
is also, but like yeah, so you could like go up there and pick up your weed and then,
Oh, yeah.
you know, swing by, play a few hours of video games or something.
Yeah,
You know?
right.
And it's a late night thing too. I think they're like 5 to 1 or something.
Oh yeah,
so
because they're a bar, right?
right. So
Huh.
you know, it's more your schedule.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I wonder during the weekend they might be open a little bit earlier too. They might open up at like noon if they're a pizza place on top of that.
I don't. Maybe I feel like they're still open. Like maybe at the earliest, like 3 or 4.
Oh, okay, yeah. That sounds
but-
like so much fun.
Yeah, it was a really good time. It was, and it's nice that it was close too, because I like as you said, I was kind of also looking for a place like that where you can just space out on some games at a place.
Yeah.
and
Yeah, because
not just a bar with pool and television.
right.
You know?
The Walmart had a Terminator Salvation cabinet forever.
Really?
Yeah, it had like it's not just light guns, but it was like the full M16.
Oh, that
like,
huge. Yeah.
They got rid of it recently,
Oh.
and it's all gachapons now. And what used to be the arcade room, it's all like capsules of toys.
Oh,
now.
right. Yeah.
Not even like crane games. It's just like spinning.
Just the little 25s. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's tons of those now. Yeah.
But I was looking at how much that Terminator Salvation costs. It was like $25,000.
Wow.
It was just sitting in there forever.
Right.
And
I wonder what they did with it.
Yeah, that's why I asked the security guy, because I would go there every morning after I got out of work and go get like breakfast stuff.
Right.
It was like the one day it was there, the next day I went, it was gone, and he was like, yeah, they just switched it out all last night. It's like, do you know where any of it is? Because that's insane. Also, that cabinet weighs like close to probably 1,000, 2,000.
I can imagine it's big.
Like,
it probably weighs as much as a refrigerator.
Yeah, at
like
least.
A dryer, washer.
It's probably 2 refrigerators with how big it is.
Well, yeah, because it's not hollow either. So yeah, it has a bunch of shit in it.
Like just the base part is probably the size of a refrigerator.
Yeah.
And then it has the whole like seat extension.
Oh right, and then the monitor and that whole back end. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
A big machine.
That's crazy. I wonder if it's just like sitting there in the back somewhere.
Yeah, I wonder.
Collecting dust. We should like do a heist.
Yeah, we need like several forklifts.
All right, you heard it.
Just to move it to the door.
You heard it here, guys. We need several forklifts.
But that wasn't the only Walmart that I've seen with that exact Terminator Salvation cabinet. So I wonder, like, is there just going to be like a surplus of Terminator Salvation cabinets? Like,
right.
What's going to happen?
Was there a sudden recall on them or something?
No, I mean, like, I had played that game a couple of times, but like every time I walk past that little arcade room, there's nobody in it. There's no like kids or anything.
Right.
I mean, it's like it was always like a super sad corner of the store where it's like it has that Terminator cabinet. It has like 2 crane games and like one of those little ridey machines.
Yeah. Well, the arcade used to be where you send your kids to be babysat while you shop.
Yeah.
But now you have iPad kids, so you just give them your iPad in the cart.
Right.
And you don't need the arcade anymore. So it's become, And
the arcades don't have any games really anymore. I mean, there's no way any toddler would be able to reach the guns to the cabinet.
Right. Well, I mean, toddlers should be playing with guns, but
very
also
true.
parents don't want to spend even if it's 25 cents, they don't want to spend any money on a game when they're like, we got games at home. I just bought you a $500 PlayStation 5.
That's true.
You can wait 20 minutes or whatever.
The buy-in for that was really expensive too. I think it's like $2.
Right.
$3.
Yeah. Usually those bigger ones are a little pricier unless, and then you got to get change. No one has change anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a whole thing.
They didn't have like a token machine.
Right.
Those modern arcade cabinets might have card slots now.
I was going to say, a lot of them did update to the card where you can just swipe your credit or debit or whatever, but still.
Scan your phone.
I can imagine that a lot of parents are just like, we'll be home soon or whatever.
Yeah, but the gachapon things also is like, who has? I mean, I guess if you have pocket change, but
yeah, I guess, but those are cheaper to maintain because those can just sit there indefinitely.
Right.
And never.
You can just switch out with whatever toy or whatever.
Right. You can, and you really don't even have to do that if no one empties it.
Right.
They can literally just sit there. You're not losing any money off of them.
Yeah.
And it's not like candy where becomes dangerous or whatever. It's just...
none of them were candy. It was all just straight up like little toys and stuff.
Yeah.
And then it was like, I don't know who this is for. Like, I mean, when I was a little kid, like, I would get, like, gachapons and stuff, but it wasn't, like, random things that I didn't know about, right?
Yeah,
The one thing was homies. I love homies so much.
Oh, right, yeah. Homies are funny.
Yeah. I would collect homies forever.
Yeah. You loved your little Mexicans.
Yeah. But, like, little Japanese waifu girls or, like, random colored guitars or like little foods. You like the little foods.
I like the little foods. I mean,
but,
I'm guilty for little foods. But those are regular, real life foods that are shrunken down to small foods.
Yeah,
they're
not
the like,
brand ones.
Yeah, I like the branded. It makes me feel like I'm a giant.
One of these boxes, I have a few of them of like tiny little Subway sandwiches and stuff like that.
Yeah, those are and even those I don't really like go after. Those are kind of like if I stumble upon them, because at one point they were at the gas station by our house, so I would buy one every once in a while. I actually haven't seen them in a while, and now everything has a mini version. It's become like
Right.
the Funko Pop type situation, and I'm
make
over it.
Funkos too.
I'm over it because there's so many things that are small. It's overwhelming, and I'm
Yeah.
like, so now if I see something I like specifically, and it's been miniaturized, I'll pick it up. But I'm not just picking up everything
Right.
that's been miniaturized because it's become a lot.
Yeah, one of these boxes has some tiny Funkos too. They're like the size of a quarter.
I just got a
In
tiny
the
Funko
box.
for Christmas. It was the Santa from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh,
Yeah, he's like
cool.
this big. He's in his own little
Yeah,
in a little box, but it's made of plastic. But
Yeah.
yeah, super cute.
yeah, same thing. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
But
those are cool too. I wish that's how they started, so I could have, because I wouldn't mind having 100 of those,
Right.
like tiny ones, but 100 of the regular size. It's a whole wall,
Yeah.
literally, and it's like,
I just had deja vu. I think we had that same exact conversation of when you got it.
probably I wouldn't be
was like,
surprised.
I want a whole room of these.
I'm sure we've
Funny
definitely
as hell.
discussed this Funko Pop.
The tiny little ones.
Yeah.
It was, as soon as you said the Santa, I was like, yeah, I remember Santa.
I love collecting things, don't get me wrong, but I also know how overwhelmed I get when I begin collecting things. So
Oh,
I have
yeah.
to, like, I've been adding more ducks to my duck collection, and now there's so many ducks that I'm like, there's too many ducks.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what to do with all these ducks. Doesn't mean I don't want more ducks, but also maybe I shouldn't. I went on, like, one day, I went to like 4 or 5 different stores. We were looking for something, but we ended up going to multiple stores in one day. And I bought like a duck at almost every store because I found a duck that was like probably is like a little bigger than your Pikachu there,
Yeah.
but it was a full big old duck, but it was like made of glitter and stuff. I was like, oh, this is cool. I'll buy this like a big duck for all my other ducks. So this is like the daddy duck.
Right.
And then I found a couple ducks that were like shaped like, I don't even remember, but they were different, but they were ducks. So I was
Yeah.
like, I want to buy these. And then I found a bag that was like 50 tiny ducks of different colors.
The little duck.
And I was like, well, I got to have 50 tiny ducks. So, and now I'm like, I haven't even opened the bag of 50 tiny ducks. So I'm like, where am I going to put these?
Yeah.
First of all,
You should hide them in places.
that's probably what I'm doing.
Just go to random bars and then put a
Just
tiny duck
start.
somewhere.
That'll be my signature. Just leaving a duck.
Yeah.
Every time I murder someone, I just leave a tiny duck on their face.
Yeah, you go back next week and then try to find the duck again.
Yeah.
You're like, there he is.
Duck murder or something. Probably more creative than that. But yeah. So yeah, I like ducks. But yeah,
Hell
so
yeah, man.
I'm trying not to collect too many things.
I feel you. I mean, like, it is a lot of shit.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
If I have a more established area, like if I ever were to buy a house, which is against everything that I currently am doing, but then I wouldn't mind as much because then I can actually like put up permanent shelves and things, and
yeah. I mean,
But-
like, I have so much shit. And that's the hard part is, like, also moving it. And then when I do move, it's like, well, do I move the shelves? Do I buy new shelves?
Mhm.
Do I, you know? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
And then I have these things, these store displays. There's this one, but the big one right there, that doesn't even fit my car.
Really?
Yeah,
oh, I
no-
believe that.
no
That's the
way.
size of a car.
Yeah, that barely fits in Kyle's 4Runner.
That's also the size of a refrigerator.
Yeah,
Just way lighter, but yeah.
yeah. Thankfully I can move it by myself.
Right.
Um,
I mean, I imagine that it's pretty hot. It's just cardboard.
Yeah, I can lift it up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What happened to the other side of that? Isn't that shelf taller? Usually there's 2 halves.
Yeah, it broke. It's on the edge. It's still here. It's
Oh, it's just next to it instead. Honestly, that looks better,
yeah. It's just
especially in this room.
yeah. But I keep it hidden because there's not as much stuff on that shelf right now. So I'm
Nice.
like I can throw this. I move that a lot. It's on
Heck yeah, why not? Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I keep my robe usually hung off the side, and then like I keep things on the little shelf. And the other side has like towels and stuff on it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's useful. I like it. My hats are on top.
Yeah.
You know. I don't know what else there is.
So I just wanted to end on the arcade cabinets. I feel like it's always fun to talk about old school games as well.
Yeah.
You know, being a video game podcast, but
Yeah, and we haven't talked about like actual life shit in a while because we haven't seen each other in a while.
mm-hmm.
But at least news wise, I didn't know what else to throw at you.
Oh yeah,
a lot. Yeah, I mean life wise too. I've just been working all the time. I mean the other parts that I'm not working, I'm filming and putting up. But yeah, I'm just trying to do that. Trying to get more and more on the Pokemon store, just putting up cards and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just trying to like pay the bills.
Yeah, at the end of the day, right? That's
Right.
priority number one.
Right. Yeah. And pass time, and I try so hard to just pass time.
Mm.
But yeah, I think that's an episode. I think we have passed enough time. It's not exact. I said it was going to take 3 hours. It's close.
2.5 isn't bad.
No.
It's a solid movie.
Yeah, I thought we'd get more in depth with the Xbox thing, but I'm glad we didn't.
There was only 4 games. I mean, to be honest.
Yeah, and they spent way too much time on it. It's 15 minutes per game.
Right. I was surprised. Yeah, when you showed me how long, or when you sent it to me, and then I saw there were only 4 games, I was like, 20 minutes a game? What are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah. It does fly through pretty fast.
It wasn't bad. I mean, I feel like
paced
yeah,
really well, but
we didn't really skip a lot of it while we were talking over it. I mean, I feel like we were keeping up with the discussion, but a little overhyped, I think, for what it is. But
yeah, well, I mean,
whatever.
that's what Xbox announced theirs way too early. Like when Nintendo announces these, they announce them the week of.
Mm-hmm.
Xbox was in 3 weeks we're having a developer direct, and then everybody's speculating for 3 weeks.
Right, looking up
yeah,
secrets and leaks
right.
and all that.
I mean, the thumbnail was even before they showed Ninja Gaiden in the thumbnail. It was secret game, and everybody was speculating what the secret game was. So it was is Castlevania coming? Is it Ninja Gaiden? Is it whatever Japanese random game?
Yeah.
People are just running off the rails with it, and then people are like, well, it can't just be 4 games. It has to be a 5th game. What's the 5th game?
What's the secret game?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Oh, no, they did do a 5th game. They did Ninja Gaiden 2.
Oh, right. Yeah,
4.
I guess that's technically right.
Yeah.
That's true.
But, I mean, it's so hard with, leaks and stuff of, I don't know, announcing it that far ahead. I was worried that it would leak of, what it is, but I'm glad it didn't. We're, I don't know.
Yeah, it is nice to be able to see a full direct without completely having everything ruined.
Right. You're right. Ninja Gaiden 4 and Ninja Gaiden 2 Black were both a pretty well-hidden secret for a long... Nobody knew that those games were being made, especially 2 Black. Nobody thought they would do that.
Right, yeah, that was definitely left field. It's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, really cool. But we will be back next week, as long as, everybody's in good health and can drive.
Yeah.
And we will be back next week with a normal episode. Yeah. And with that being said, guys, it's been fun. It's been real. Peace out, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Ta-ta.